Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show presented by Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my early dancing, early rising, super handsome co-host, John Luke and Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, boys?
What up? Good morning.
Dude. Good morning. Craig already in the chat. Let's go,
your
baby.
Twitter handle is just so hyped to say that every time I say Coop, I want to scream it. It would hurt me not to say A Fiasco afterwards. I just want to yell that whole thing.
It just fits.
You know, I made it back in legit like 2009, then didn't use Twitter for like 6 years. So when I started doing fantasy, I was like, should I change this? And Howard Bender was like, absolutely not.
No, you can't.
Like,
you're
deep in that.
Scoop A Fiasco. I want to yell it every time I go in with that intro, which I probably will.
What's more fun, Andrew Cooper or Coupe Fiasco? Come on,
that's true, dude. Yeah, Andrew's kind of a lame name, dude. I'll admit it. Dude.
Andrew does his taxes on time every year. That's for sure.
Right, dude. Coop is just like taxes.
Coop has never paid taxes a day in his life.
Money last year. Yeah,
I was gonna say Jail just casually telling everyone that he does not pay his taxes on time ever. Like not once is he. Only those losers named Andrew pay their taxes on time. We're filing for that extension. We are waiting till the last day to even start.
11:54 p.m.
100%. Guys, we got some people in the chat already this morning ready to hang out with us. Craig, what's up? Chat. Welcome in. And we got Maria in there as well. And the winner of the first ever jersey that we ever gave away on the network, a Ben Coates jersey to Andrew Elmquist. What's up, Andrew? Hope you're celebrating. He said he also pays his taxes on time. So confirming. Andrews pay their taxes on time.
Simon, you got both. You got both jerseys wrong so far, dude. Yesterday was Chris Johnson. I mean, I ended up getting the Calvin Johnson. So
yeah, it was because I said it out loud. All of a sudden they had to wear a Calvin Johnson jersey.
Eventually, you're gonna run out of jerseys.
In my defense, okay, I just want to throw a little defense out there for myself. It's a little box, and I was trying to see it, and I just got it. I saw light blue. I saw Johnson. And I got excited, all right? And Chris Johnson was just as exciting, but you're right. The second we thought about it, it made no sense.
Wide receivers are not – they opened it up so the wide receivers could wear more numbers, like numbers in the single digits now. Back then and now, also, wide receivers not allowed to wear numbers in the 20. So just giving you a quick little guide
history
there,
lesson.
Simon. And also, I actually talked to Matt Deutsch, who runs this whole thing, and he was like, you know what? If Simon's gonna mess him up every day, we got to start giving people the option of picking the player that's up there or whatever player Simon says. So keep your ears peeled for that, because you might
go bankrupt.
You might get a choice of 2 jerseys next time, and that's from the man that runs the show. So
yeah,
guys, this is a good reminder right now that we are going to be giving away another NFL signed jersey today. So make sure you're staying tuned for whenever we let you know to hit that fun button. You can hit it the entire time, but we'll let you know whenever it's going to start helping you win a jersey. And you guys broke the fun button yesterday. I don't know if you know that, but we shattered the fun button, made it non-functional because you guys hit it so much. So that's huge.
Keith was losing his mind.
He was yelling at us in our ears like, what are you guys doing? We can't do it without the fun button.
Bunch of idiots.
Keith got fired. We had to fight.
Yeah, we had to fire.
Yeah, they came down. They were
hired a lawyer for Keith.
They broke the fun button on your watch, So
yeah,
we're glad to have Keith back. That was a scary time, but be careful with that fun button. But right this moment, smash it. Smash it right now.
Yeah,
guys. Yesterday, there was a ton of news in the NFL. It was cut day. There was a lot of stuff going on. Players being cut, players not being cut. There were maybe some surprises. I wanted to hit on some of those with you. And I know it was cut day, so this seems counterintuitive, but I wanted to start with a player who wasn't cut. And that was former first-round wide receiver Jalen Rhaegar of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been a complete and total disappointment. They drafted Devonta Smith last year. They traded for A.J. Brown in this year's draft, but Jalen Rhaegar still made the 53-man roster. Coop, does this do anything for you in a confidence perspective from Jalen Rhaegar? Does he have any fantasy impact since he's made this team now, or are you hands-off entirely?
Hands-off entirely for fantasy football, and I'll tell you right now, in what I've read and what I've seen for this, and also in preparing for a league, the Draft with Giants, that includes return yards and points. I think the reason he made the team is because he can not only return punts, but also kicks. There's a couple guys within this league that continue to get jobs because they can do both. Jakeem Grant continues to get paid decent money, because he can do both. It saves you a roster spot to have one guy that can do both and contribute a little bit on offense from time to time. So I'm not super surprised that he didn't get cut, because he last year did both for the team, and he could end up being that kind of guy. And who knows? Cordero Patterson was that kind of guy for a long time, and that he was supposed to be a first round wide receiver. 52. Yeah, exactly. But the first ever 37-year-old breakout running back who, cut his teeth returning kicks because he couldn't cut it as a wide receiver. So you never know, but I think that's why they kept him around, because if you don't have, now you got to go out and find somebody to fill two different jobs. Just
who's this year's 37-year-old breakout running back? Obviously it's a trend at this point. The NFL's changing. So who's going to break out at age 37 this year?
Tom Brady
at running back. Yeah, of course.
Andre Ellington.
Andre again. You're gonna bring up just casually throw up a Clemson player in here, Coop?
I didn't even know.
Oh, you didn't even know. He's just casually throwing shade on the Andre Ellington. Anytime you can throw shade towards Andre Ellington, this is your biggest hater right here, Andre Ellington.
If you were listening to us right now,
me and the rest of Reddit,
listen to this idiot next to me.
Me and the rest of Reddit, we're on board now.
Of Reddit.
I think I subscribe to a subreddit still called Red Jesus. That's like just for Andre Ellington. So I'm a big proponent of his still.
Coop posts on Reddit, gets like 6 comments, and he's like, "Yep, Reddit's behind me.
Reddit's got my
They're
back,
all in
dude.
on Andre Ellington.
Never let me down.
They hate me though.
They just express their love in a different way, Coop. It's not the same.
They just don't know how to express it.
If you go to my profile on Twitter, my banner is a comment from Reddit. You are a snake oil garbage salesman.
That's how all of Reddit feels.
That's how they.
Reddit backs up that guy.
That's a compliment.
They got my back, dude.
Yeah, that's them complimenting you, Coop, right there. Snake oil garbage salesman, like absolutely incredible. Guys, or JL, what I wanted to ask you, so Coop kind of hit on from a fantasy perspective for this year at least. He is a former first-round draft pick, and he did make this roster. And like Coop said, he does have a skill set that could help him with roster security going forward. Do you have any interest in Jalen Rhaegar in dynasty leagues? Is he a player that you're looking at stashing or trading for, or holding on to as just a flyer as a former first-round pick?
Not unless you're in like a really deep league where it matters. He hasn't really shown us anything that's important. I love what Coop brought up about the special teams work, because we see that every year. There's always guys like Ray McLeod is the first one that comes to mind. Surprise, surprise. These guys who very likely would have been cut if they didn't have a role on the special teams unit. So I'm not super interested in Jalen Rhaegar. I don't think he showed us really anything while he had the opportunity to in Philadelphia. And I think that opportunity is obviously even smaller now with a lot more competition there.
The difference between Jalen Rhaegar and JJ Arcega-Whiteside is that Jalen Rhaegar returned a couple punts. That's really what's going on there,
Right. So I'm not too I'm not going to try and project that he is going to be or take a leap in talent. We haven't really seen any or much progression at all.
Yeah. Coop, are you in agreement here? No interest in Jalen Rhaegar in dynasty either. He's just all formats, hands off.
It's got to be real. It's got to be real deep and or 35 yards
deep AF
is a point or better for return yards. 25 yards per point. I would consider potentially owning a guy like that, just because he does play a little offense and he does play both kick and punt return. But beyond
maybe you wonder if he has like some touchdown upside too with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be very
more than
specific,
zero.
Specific league. Yeah, right now we're talking like
what's the probability of scoring a touchdown on a kick return?
We should start doing that. Whatever player comes up, we'll be like, yeah, if it's 100 team Dino league with like 30 spots and it's best ball, right? Just like start making up formats that every player is owned in. Yeah, in any normal league, you really don't need that.
Who was it? It was Nate Polvote on Twitter the other day, posted a screenshot of a draft where they were in round 51. And I said, excuse me, sir, like round 51. And then he said, oh, and we're only about halfway through. Post a screenshot that it goes up to round 100.
Two-minute clock. Doesn't stop overnight either.
Excuse me? Like, I don't know what would be worse, that as a slow draft or that as a fast draft. Like, would you rather draft 100 rounds with a 60-second clock or 100 rounds with an 8-hour timer where it just like keeps on going.
I mean, dude, with the problem with the 60-second clock is you'd be up all night. Dog.
It would be your only activity for the day.
That's all you could do. Draft. And you got when did they start that draft? Like January?
Yeah, they
started. You got to start
Super Bowl halftime. They started.
Yeah, they started this draft in 2018. Like Rhaegar was a great pick when they started this.
That would be wild, a multi-year draft, guys. Another team that had some big news yesterday. The Falcons cut a lot of their pass catches yesterday. Auden Tate, Anthony Ferguson, Cameron Bateson, Geronimo Allison, Frank Darby all cut. I know we're Kyle Pitts and Drake London we've talked about before. These are guys that we're excited to draft. But Coop, you mentioned, I know we've talked a lot about 2 receivers in the tight end, not necessarily being able to sustain production. So is there any interest for you in the other receivers there, or Brian Edwards or an Olamide Zaccheaus on this team that you're interested in?
Yeah, so I mean, maybe in a best ball, I would take a stab on like a Brian Edwards, who I think is probably the second best guy over there. Olamide Zaccheaus, he's been more of a fill-in, but these are the kind of guys that you have to keep on your watch list, because if one of the top 2 dogs goes down, they really don't have much else. So one of these guys is going to slot into a pretty full-time role. And you know what happens a lot of times is if one of those dudes goes down, the other guy is going to get keyed on super hard. That's what happened with Kyle Pitts last year with Calvin Ridley gone. When you look at the red zone, he got 6 end zone targets, only caught 1, and that's because he was super bracketed. You know what I mean? Like the teams were looking at that offense and being like, well, who cares what happens as long as we don't let this Goliath over here score a touchdown right now. So like, I think Drake London is going to open up Kyle Pitts, but on the flip side, if one of them goes down, one of these other guys could just be the dude that gets the easier assignment. And, fantasy football, sometimes it helps us out.
Yeah. Jalen, are you agreeing with Coop here? Are you interested in Brian Edwards at all?
Yeah, I'm interested in as a very late flyer. I wish he would have shown something when he had the opportunity this past season. And he just unfortunately wasn't able to. And so I don't have a ton of confidence that he'll be able to take that step up, but there's a chance that he would. So I feel like I'll take it. I'll stash him.
I feel like he gave us just enough to have that hope. Know what I mean? Like we saw like a game, like plays during games where it was like, okay, this makes sense why they drafted Brian Edwards over there. I know the trade to the Falcons doesn't necessarily inspire confidence that they were willing to get rid of him so early into his career. But yeah, I'm with you. If something happens, then something happens. And Brian Edwards is probably the next guy up. And we can't forget there. I know Drake London was my number 1 rookie wide receiver coming out of this draft class. He's one of the rookies I have the highest expectations for in year 1, but he is still a rookie wide receiver. And we don't know. There is that level of uncertainty about how he's going to work in the NFL. We've seen it time and time again with some of these, especially at the wide receiver position. I know we're going to talk some busts later, but we've seen first round wide receiver talent not pan out in the NFL over and over. I know Drake London's in a situation where it seems impossible not to be that guy, but there's a world where that happens. I'm not calling for it. I love Drake London, but that's what gives me a little bit more reason or incentive to draft maybe the 3rd option on a team, is that one of the first 2 options is a rookie, right? So if I'm going to be drafting a team's 3rd option, the one behind a rookie is probably a better bet. The one behind 2 established receivers, it's probably a better bet to take Brian Edwards than someone who's behind Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, even if you think they have a role, if you're looking for someone who can step up into that role.
100%. I mean, we saw it with my team with N'Keal Harry. It's like Jacoby Myers had a big role because he was the established guy. So I like that strategy, Simon. Shoot for those guys behind the complete unknowns, because you actually, you never do know.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But Coop, are you expecting Drake London to just step into that wide receiver 1 role on this team? Like, is that your full expectation at this point? You're not worried about Brian Edwards taking over as like the primary pass catching wide receiver?
I mean, absolutely. And when you look at what the Falcons just did, they kind of have no choice. Like they cut it down to 6. They cut everybody, dude. They cut it down to 6 wide receivers.
0-man roster.
Yeah, it really is like 3 wide receivers and then 3 backup wide receivers behind them. So, he's definitely going to be out there, in my opinion, every snap. And they're going to, you have to have 7 guys tethered to the line of scrimmage every play. So it's going to be Kyle Pitts tethered to the line pretty much every play. And then on the other side, you're going to have Drake London tethered to the line. So he could struggle a little bit because, those guys face a lot of GM coverage, but they don't really have anybody else that can go out and do that. Maybe they bring in another inline tight end and have Pitts at wide receiver, but, they don't have a lot of weapons. So
I was gonna say, like, this team has a lot of holes. Do you think, like, is Kyle Pitts gonna be able to really stand out this season with that team that has a lot of these holes?
I mean, that's the crazy thing about Pitts and why I'm so high on him in Dynasty and in redraft is that as a rookie, he was thrown into a mess, had the number one wide receiver on the team gone, and then he still came out and had 1,000 yards, which is just, to me, that's wild. You know, if he had a couple more touchdowns, we'd potentially be talking to him about him as the number one Dynasty tight end and the number one tight end in redraft too. But you know, I'm big on him. It's very rare for a rookie tight end to do what he did.
Yeah. And Jalen, to your point, I ran through all of my NFL predictions for the season last year, like team win records, who's going to make the playoffs. And that Falcons team, I tried hard to get them more than 3 wins on their schedule. I finished going through all of the games, and Falcons were one of the last teams I did. And I was like, no, it can't be 3 wins, right? Like it's got to be a couple more than that. But I went through and I couldn't do it. I couldn't get them to more than 3 wins. I did not realize how pessimistic I am about this Falcons offense, but I am not optimistic about this Falcons team for this year. That being said, there's value to be had on bad fantasy teams. Don't fade entire teams just because it's going to be a bad offense. There are pieces on almost every single NFL team that are going to be fantasy relevant. So don't just take the fade a whole team approach.
Speaking of, I don't know if you're setting up the segue. It sounds like perfect, but maybe we should wait until after the break for that. Now that I think about it.
Okay, guys, we've got a lot coming up on today's show. We are just getting started. It was cut day, so we've got a lot more cut day news. We're going to be playing a new game we are calling Fantasy Detective, so you don't want to miss out on that. And then, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I mentioned it every day, we are giving away another NFL signed jersey, so you're going to be ready for that. I see Dame in the chat saying they're called fun taps, but I think they should be called fun smashes. They are fun smashes, so make sure you are smashing that fun button the entire time, and we'll let you know whenever it's time for that contest. And just a little teaser, that contest may take a little bit longer today. We've been setting the numbers kind of low. We're setting that number a little bit higher today, so keep smashing that button, and one of you guys is going to win a jersey. One of you guys is going to win a jersey that I'll get to tell you it was the wrong player for. Absolutely. Guys,
will quickly correct you.
Yeah, Coop will correct me within about 0.2 seconds. We're going to be playing a little bit more hypothetically today as well, going through some more hypothetical situations, taking them to the extremes. And then we're going to be talking some bust picks, and our friend and ESPN reporter Anita Marks is joining us a little bit later today. So stay tuned for all of that coming up not too long from now. And I guess we can just keep on going, guys.
It's Sports Talk. Sports Talk done better.
The way that I have it laid out, so I knew we'd get into this, so I put my own rankings up there. I have Taylor 1, McCaffrey 2, Cup 3.
Sorry, guys.
That's how I would draft it, especially, again,
and
we're talking
Matt
at minimum half-point PPR league, maybe a full point. I would have Eckler 4. Now, the one that I was debating on was where do we put Derrick Henry? Because there is a track record for guys that are like him, that carry the ball a ton for multiple years in a row. He's coming off an injury. I know he was fine going to the playoffs last year, but all his yards per carry were less. His yards after contact were less. So I'm a little leery of him right now. I think Justin Jefferson in that Minnesota offense, I think Kirk Cousins is a sleepy, good, just solid, consistent quarterback. So I would go Taylor, McCaffrey, Kupp as the top 3. Eckler is my 4. I probably go Justin Jefferson as my 5. I actually like Najee Harris this year in the long haul better than Derrick Henry.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah.
Why is that?
So I'm not as worried about the offensive line. There's no other running back that I feel like that will attack him. And also, we've seen in the past, Mitchell Trubisky loved the check down pass back in the day to David Montgomery. I think that if he's the quarterback, that would be something that would be usable there. And Najee Harris, I think we can see Najee Harris get 80 catches this year. And then when you have a rookie quarterback like Kenny Pickett, if Pickett ends up being the guy, I think he's going to be checking down to Harris also. I think that Najee Harris has the potential to end up being, at the end of the year, the 3rd highest scoring running back.
Ahead of Eckler, even ahead of Eckler with the Chargers.
Eckler scared me. And I was watching an interview with him, and I can't. Did you see his interview? I can't remember what it was on, where he said, "I'm excited to have other running backs in the room because I understand I want a long career." It was one of those like just cryptic things where will he get less carries so that he can have a longer career? From a fantasy standpoint, that hurts you.
Yeah, no, that does. That might be the case, but when push comes to shove, is he the best running back in the room? He probably still is,
Yes.
right? So,
yeah.
And it's going to be a high-scoring offense in Los Angeles for the Chargers as well, with Herbert orchestrating it at the quarterback spot. It's interesting. Listen, I mean, you would not find a bigger fan coming out of Alabama than me of Najee Harris. And I did not mind when the Pittsburgh Steelers decided to draft him. I understand what you're saying. I'm a little concerned about what Trubisky and Pickett are at quarterback this year. I know what we've seen in the regular season. I know Trubisky had some success in Chicago, has now lived up to the billing of being that franchise quarterback.
Better Sports Network. It's Sports Talk. Sports Talk done better.
And we are back live with the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show on Better Sports Network, guys. And JL, you teased a little something before we jumped into a break. Oh, it's so much better. Better with an O, too. JL, you teased a little something before we went to the break. What was it that you thought I was teasing?
I love that we came out of the gate with Jalen Rhaegar topic instead of Damien freaking Pierce, who is now supplanted Marlon Mack as the RB1 in Houston.
We gotta get that Surplant graphic up and running so we can get that
like
up
a
on the screen.
sound, like a soundboard thing.
What does Surplant say, JL? Yeah, what was that noise, JL?
Plant.
One more time.
Plant.
Okay, perfect. But JL, yeah, no, that's a great point. Not what I was leading into, but we can absolutely talk about some Damian Pierce right now. That is probably some of the biggest news out of yesterday was that Marlon Mack was released by the Houston Texans. He was cut by the Texans, kind of clearing the way for a player that has been super hyped up to this point. Rex Burkhead now has a clear path to an RB1 role. Only thing standing in his way is a rookie named Damien Pierce. But I know people were high on Damian Pierce already. His ADP had been rising, and this adds some fuel to the fire. Jail, does this change? I guess tell me how you're feeling about Damian Pierce first, and then let's talk about if this Marlon Mack cut affects it.
Yeah, I mean, Damian Pierce has shown amazing flashes in the preseason. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. Sure, you've seen it on this thing that we call the internet. People will not shut up about it. And I feel like every year there's always one or two, or maybe like 1 to 4 running backs who just come out of nowhere, either rookies or just vets who no one was expecting, right? The Cordero Pattersons of the world, the Phillip Lindsays of the world at that time. Damian Pierce could be that guy. And now he has a much clearer path to relevance this year than it looked like just a couple months ago with a very crowded backfield, it seemed.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen this before even on bad teams where there was some noise being made about a guy named James Robinson. And then
Ever heard of him?
Yeah, that would just be the snarkiest morning show. Idiots, dude.
Idiot.
Shut up. Okay, so James Robinson, like there was some smoke gaining behind him, and then all of a sudden cut down came around and Leonard Fournette got cut, right? This isn't as big as a guy like playoff Lenny getting cut because Marlon Mack is more of an early down guy and Fournette was like an every down guy. But at least now, like before, you could see a world where it was a 3-way split with Mack taking the short yardage work, which also includes goal line, which is a high leverage situation, to now being 2, where Damien Pierce is likely to be the starter and get that work. And then Rex Burkhead's going to come in on pass downs. I'm kind of interested in Rex Burkhead too, but Damien Pierce, I mean, his ADP is through the roof. We were looking it up on NFFC. Simon, do you have those numbers in front of you? The ADP numbers for
I do.
Damien Pierce?
Yeah. So Damien Pierce, earlier in this offseason, whenever we're looking at the beginning of July, he was being drafted as the running back 42. And this was just at the beginning of July, right? As of the last 2 weeks, he's being drafted as the running back 30. And take that even a step further, just the last week, he's being drafted as the running back 23 as an RB2. So he is shooting up draft boards from a running back that was very late drafted or not drafted into a guy that's in that RB2 territory. Coop, do you think that's a fair place for him to be drafted? Are you drafting Damian Pierce as a top 24 running back this year?
Yeah, he now falls into the Gabe Davis category for me, where I like the idea of it. I liked it better when he was a sleeper, right?
I like the idea of Gabe Davis more than I like Gabe Davis.
I like the idea of Coca-Cola more than I like the idea, right? So I like the idea of it better than I like his ADP now. So when he was a sleeper, I was all on board. Now it's a little sketchy. If somebody wants to reach for him, then they can go ahead and do that. If he falls to a spot where I look around and I say there's no one of comparable ability or comparable role, then I'll take him. Like for me, Gabe Davis, when he was going over where Adam Thielen goes, I was on board because I'm like, okay, this guy, he's going to be the second wide receiver on the team. We hope he can maintain this high touchdown rate. That's what Adam Thielen is. But now that Gabe Davis goes like 4 rounds before Thielen, I'm no longer interested in drafting Gabe Davis when I could just wait and draft Thielen. Same goes for Damian Harris. I like him when no other running backs are around that are actually the starter on their team. When that's where we were taking him before. Now, if he's going ahead of guys like Zeke or stuff like that, then why would I take him? Because that's just now I'm taking bad team Zeke. What am I doing?
Let's look at some of the names around here. I see Skeeter in the chat saying I like Pierce, but dude has flown up the draft board and I just can't do it.
It's a good point. You got to factor in cost, right? I feel like it's that gets often left out of the conversation. So I'm glad you brought it up. Skeeter, no.
No, let's play a little bit of a name game here because this name game has changed drastically from a couple weeks ago whenever we were talking about Damian Pierce. Some of the names going just ahead of him. So the 21st running back off the board is A.J. Dillon. Coop, would you rather A.J. Dillon, the number 2 back on his team, or the 1B to Aaron Jones 1A, or would you rather Damian Pierce this year?
I'd rather A.J. Dillon just because he's going to likely play a similar role, but that team is good. And the Texans have the lowest over-under win total of any team, and it's crazy low, like 4.5 in a 17-game season.
JL, Dillon or Pierce?
Give me Dillon as well.
Okay, and then this one I think we brought up a little bit yesterday, but J.K. Dobbins or Damian Pierce?
Give me Dobbins.
I actually think I might go Pierce here. Like I'm a little worried about the Dobbins situation with them coming up slow and, Lamar already being that guy, and then they signed Kenyon Drake. I'm not super excited about Dobbins.
Are you worried about the Kenyon Drake signing affecting Dobbins?
Dude, just now you could potentially have that 3 when everyone's healthy over there and Gus Edwards is back. That's the exact kind of 3-headed monster with a mobile QB that can be a little problematic. So I don't know. I've been kind of steering clear of J.K. Dobbins.
And I see Joey in the chat saying Pierce versus Dobbins is my conundrum. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's why I think it's helpful to go through these kind of name games and run through and look at these players compared directly to the players around them and try to make those decisions. Guys, a reminder, if you're watching the show and you want to come in and tell us what you're thinking about what we're talking about, or you've got a player that you want to bring up, just something that you got to get off your chest for fantasy before the season starts, call in. Make sure you downloaded the Better Sports Network app, register. And there's one button. It's right next to that fun button. It says call in. You can call in and chat with us live on the show at any point throughout today. So call in and come hang out with us this morning.
Joey said, I won't be satisfied until JL has a plant with a mustache and a monocle behind him. And then Maria is just egging him on, going, oh my God, we got to add that to the office renovation.
JL,
at the top of the list.
I think we should.
And behind you, I'm assuming it means not on the wall. Like I want like a life-sized, like a full, like 4 foot tall, like mascot style surplant behind you is what I want.
So that's life size. That's life size for surplant. We're now 4 feet tall.
Yes, it's now canon. Surplant in his pot is 4 feet tall. Pot included, of course, is about 4 feet tall. I think that's canon. We've established that as canon now, right? I also saw someone in the chat earlier, I think it was Craig, say if Coop does not dress up like Sherlock Holmes, I will be a bit sad. So both of you guys have gotten demands today. Jail has to have surplant behind them, and Coop has to dress up as Sherlock Holmes. You got it, Coop?
Well, if Simon accidentally mistakes whatever giveaway jersey today for Sherlock Holmes, I'm sure Coop will show up tomorrow in a Sherlock Holmes outfit.
They just kind of show up, dude. Yeah, I got my Sammy Coates jersey here too. So yeah, I don't think I have a Sherlock Holmes. I have like a Revolutionary War dude. I mean, like when you live in New England, that also just kind of shows
the
up.
Same thing.
Like a Revolutionary
You just have to
War
have
outfit,
like a Patriot outfit.
You show up,
from
yeah,
the old school mascot.
Yeah. It's like everyone, everyone, if need be, could be dressed like Paul Revere by the end of the day. Just in case. Just in case the British come back,
It's like whenever you move into
I'm
a
big with
house in
Paul Revere
Boston,
vibes.
it's just in your closet, in your size already. There's a Paul Revere outfit just ready to go for you.
Every time you sign that lease.
So
immediately.
so you guys have lived here before.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, that's how we know. How else would we know?
Big Mac in the
Why
chat
else
wants to
would we
know, Coop, whose jersey are you wearing?
I said I won it yesterday in the giveaway when Simon said the wrong name. I always get whatever wrong name Simon says, I get that jersey. So I have a Sammy Coates now. I have a Megatron now. So and this one I'm getting enough musk on it so that we can give it away to a lucky winner.
Yeah, it needs a little more time in the oven, but it'll be ready soon.
It needs to cook a little bit more. And Coop, I hope you did not put that Old Spice on this morning. They want that scent on natural on that jersey.
It is. No, it is a eau de coupe.
Oh, Coop, that's disgusting. That is disgusting. Let's put it in the shop.
Such a bad ring to it. It sounds bad, right? Yeah.
What does that smell like, Coop?
Scream that into your mouth.
Smell like? What's the flavor profile?
It just sounds like disappointing tight. It smells like disappointing tight ends. That's what you know what I mean. Like just
it smells like Trey.
Smells like Evan Ingram.
Smells like Vance McDonald.
Smells like Vance McDonald and Trey
McDonald.
Boo Boo. Guys, I also see Get in the Game in the chat saying Priest Holmes jersey with a pipe, Sherlock Priest Holmes. You could be Sherlock Priest Holmes. There we go.
Now you're talking.
That's awesome. In Fantasy Nav, it smells like Evan Ingram dropping passes. I don't even know what that smells like, but I bet it's a
Mods.
Mods,
get him out of the chat. That's Eric. Mods, Keith, remove him from the chat.
Yeah, you went
him out
a
of
Calvin
my
Johnson.
sight.
I mean, Chris Johnson jersey, and then you come in here and shade Evan Ingram like that. Come on. Guys, the last player that I wanted, or actually, you know what? There's two more that I want to ask you about with Damian Pierce. It's the two guys going right after him. The first one is Elijah Mitchell. So, Coop, are you taking Damian Pierce or Elijah Mitchell?
Damian Pierce or Elijah Mitchell. I actually like Elijah Mitchell a lot, so I'm taking Elijah Mitchell over Damian Pierce too. I mean, last year, if you look at the numbers for Elijah Mitchell, he was on. If you take the per game numbers, he only played 11 games. He was on pace for 1,500 yards. The number 2 back behind Jonathan Taylor had 1,259 yards. Nick Chubb. I got these numbers all stored here in the bank, baby. So Elijah Mitchell, like he was on pace to be the second leading rusher by a ton if he just stayed healthy. It's the health thing that concerns us. But I mean, that line, they still have Trent Williams, who had arguably the best left tackle season of all time. If a left tackle is ever going to win Offensive Player of the Year, it should have been Trent Williams last year. So, I mean, he's poised to have a monster season. So I'll take that over the worst team in the league any day.
Joe, what about you? Are you taking Elijah Mitchell or Damian Pierce?
Yeah, I mean, I just brought up, that there's always running backs every year that just pop up, right? No one's expecting. Elijah Mitchell is that guy last year. Yeah, I remember I went out and I think I blew like 90% of my dynasty waiver wire budget, my fab on Elijah Mitchell last year. And it was one of those things where I'm like, this might not pan out, but everyone was hyped on Trey Sermon, if you guys remember. And guess what happened to Trey Sermon? Supplanted by Elijah MFN Mitchell. Supplanted by Elijah MFN Mitchell.
Smash him. Hey, smash that fun button on Trey Sermon right now. Dude, I've never heard somebody so confidently say what is clearly not a real word. since the first show, since our first episode, I've never seen somebody say it so confidently. And dude, I love that Keith actually did go in and remove that Evan Ingram comment from the chat.
We have zero
Keith,
tolerance for Evan Ingram slander in the chat on this show. Any Evan Ingram slander will be deleted and censored. We're just going to be upfront about that. We don't allow
you'll be punished. You'll be forced to come on the show and apologize. Eric, I hope you have your phone ready. I know we had you on twice yesterday, but you might have to come back on here and apologize to me and Evan.
Yeah, just like a full heartfelt apology to not just to Coop, but to Evan as well, and to Keith for making him have to do that.
We should bring Eric on and just like keep him in the corner here, but don't let him speak. Keith, can you make that happen? Let's put him in timeout on the show.
Put a dunce cap on him, please.
Yeah, we need a little morning show like timeout corner that we can put people in.
Joe, you did bring up.
Also, I saw Dame was in the chat, and she's West Coast. Damn, Dame, you up so early? What are you doing?
Go back to sleep, Dame. I know we're fun over here, but not that fun. That is West Coast time. You know what? There's sometimes you wake up at sometimes you wake up at 4 a.m. You look at your clock and you're like, huh, that is not enough time to fall back asleep. And I'm already awake and I have to be up and then you're just up. It happens from time to time. Jail, I also saw a comment in the chat. You we're talking about Mr. Elijah Mitchell supplanting Trey Sermon in that 49ers offense. My brain went blank for a second right there. But there was a comment in the chat from Getting the Game that wants to know who is going to supplant Devontae Adams as the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. So Devontae Adams is gone. Not sure it's a full supplant, but it's a half supplant since he left that team. But who do you think is going to be the top wide receiver in Green Bay this year, Jail? Lazard, Watkins, Dubs, Cobb.
You know, I got to ride with my boy Sammy.
I knew
Sammy
you were going to
Watkins.
say it.
No, it's not Sammy Watkins. I think Alan Lazard is probably the most likely wide receiver, but honestly, it doesn't seem like it's very clear cut from what I've heard from the reports I've been seeing out of camp. So I would go with Alan Lazard, but I think you could definitely get some value from these other guys who might just end up being more relevant than we think.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think it's Alan Lazard is really kind of running away as the front runner. I do like taking stabs on Romeo Dubs. He could be the wild card upside guy. Seems to be emerging as that at this point. If you're in dynasty or deep enough rosters, then you still have to stash Christian Watson because the raw talent is there, the raw speed, height. He has all that going. He just has to get it together. And then Randall Cobb at this point is kind of a boring dude. You know what I mean? Like. We say Adam Thielen's old. Randall Cobb and Adam Thielen actually have the same exact birthday.
Is that a real fact?
We're born on the very same day. Imagine we should start making stuff up on the show.
Imagine if I made that
It's like 7:30 in the morning. I gotta get away. You just start saying stuff. No, but that is actually true. That one. Yeah.
For some reason, I immediately assumed nefarious intent and that you were just lying right there. Like there was not a doubt in my mind that was just something you made up as hyperbole to say they were very close. They were both very old. But that's incredible.
August 22nd, 1990. Both were born on the same exact day.
Oh, God. Man, does this start hurting your feelings that we start talking about these players as old and they're like around the same age? Like, oh, this player's over the cliff and it's a 27-year-old running back. Oh, dear God, that makes me feel bad. Like I'm very clearly past my prime. Because we're already talking about these NFL players as old whenever they hit their 27, 28. Not that we needed evidence for me being past my prime. We probably could have just
I was gonna say, I love that you're just now realizing it, man.
Speak for yourself, bro. Two targets, 2 receptions at the Expo, 100% catch rate
at the Expo.
Zero yak. But I think I could
on that. I tried Coops on that Patterson.
I tried to do a move, lost a yard.
You're
Coop runs a 15-minute 40.
Next year I'm switching over to running back, dude. Yeah, FF Expo, kind of a star. People are talking about it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But guys, for Alan Lazard, I did want to bring up where he is currently being drafted, just so that we have an idea of what that looks like. He's being drafted 76th overall, which is about in the where is that? That's like in the 7th round, beginning third of the 7th round as we're approaching the middle of the 7th round. He's the 38th wide receiver off the board, and this is according to the last week in NFFC data. Do you think he can return value on wide receiver 38 where he's being drafted right now?
I missed the question. I was too busy laughing at the person in the chat saying Velus Jones also has the same birthday. That was Dustin, dude.
God,
Dustin from top rope.
Just the amount of times that Velus Jones has been bodied for just being an old rookie. Like, it is completely undeserved, but I laugh.
I hope he's awesome. I hope he's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Now I'm rooting for him. I've made some of those jokes myself, but I'm hoping that Velus Jones is awesome now, just because he's gotten ribbed pretty hard for that. Yeah, but so what was the question?
If he's awesome, people aren't going to drop the old guy thing, but they're going to embrace him as like an old man who's killing it for fantasy. Like, that joke's not going anywhere. He's stuck with that. Also, Dustin, what's up? Welcome in. But Coop, do you think Alan Lazard, he's being drafted as the wide
awesome.
receiver 38 right now. Do you think he can return value on that draft cost? Like middle of the 7th round, are you fine drafting him there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a guy that, I don't think he's super duper exciting. So he's more of a guy you draft in like a 3. If your league is 2 wide receivers, you really have to only be shooting for upside, right? Like too many times where I see people in 2 wide receiver leagues and they draft their 5th wide receiver and it's somebody like Tyler Boyd. I'm like, in what world is Tyler Boyd going to be one of your 2 wide receivers and you're going to win the league? You know what I mean? So if it's a 3 wide receiver league, I don't mind drafting a guy like that and his ADP works. But, I do worry about what his ceiling will be because this isn't some guy coming out of nowhere, some rookie. Like he's been in the league for a while. Devontae Adams missed games, MVS has missed games, and he hasn't quite popped, So, but I think he can deliver value on wide receiver 38 easily and be a wide receiver 3,
Yeah, I'm about on the same page as you. The one thing that concerns me with him is like if you look at it, last year was his career high in targets and in receptions with 60 targets and 40 receptions. And he turned that into 8 touchdowns, but only 513 receiving yards last year. Like he was not a heavy yardage guy. And I'm not convinced that he's suddenly going to turn into a high yardage guy, that all of a sudden he's going to be used wildly differently in this offense. Now, where he's being drafted, I think that's fine. Like drafting him a wide receiver 38, I imagine he's going to be a high touchdown guy again this year. That's the kind of player that he is. That's how Aaron Rodgers showed that he liked to use him over the past couple of years. Like Lazard will likely hit a similar touchdown total this year. But I'm not fully convinced that yardage takes a big jump from like the 500 to 1,000 receiving yard season. Like I think we're going to see more in line with what we saw last year. But if that's a floor, then he'll return on wide receiver 38 value, and he's got the potential, whether you believe it or not. There's a hole there. He could be the wide receiver 1. He could see a massive uptick in those targets, but I think there's a very real chance he just does what we saw last year, that it's just the same guy.
Wow. And last year he was basically like Dawson Knox. I mean, if you really think about it, he even played like 60 inline snaps. Like he played like the same number of inline snaps as Mike Gesicki. Like he's just kind of that's what he's been so far. But Rodgers has said that his role will change, so we'll see. But I mean, he's more of a decent tight end than he is a good wide receiver.
Alan Lazard, decent tight end. Coop, you'll find any way to take turning a player into talking about a tight end. With Alan Lazard, you had to get a little creative. You're like, well, he's like a tight end instead of bringing up a tight end teammate.
Let me put this in terms that we can all understand. Tight ends.
Absolutely.
I've already checked off Evan. Like I have like a little tally going of making sure I bring up Evan Engram every day. Today is a little late. We made it to like 7:30, but we managed to mention him, so we're already good for
tight ends. The universal language.
We've hit our quota. Yeah.
Also, I saw Joey in the chat saying Lazard and Aaron Jones is the guys that could take over that role. Bringing up a running back in that position, talking about players that aren't wide receivers. Are you guys expecting an uptick in receptions for Aaron Jones this coming year? With that wide receiver position, Devontae Adams vacating all those targets. I know vacated targets are a myth, but somebody's got to catch the ball. Do you think Aaron Jones sees more action this year?
I could see him having a marginal increase. A.J. Dillon is there, and I expect them to split a lot this year. In terms of pass catching, I guess I don't really see that increasing a ton. I don't think Devontae Adams
targets last year, just so you guys know. Yeah.
How many? 65?
65.
That's pretty good.
See him doing more than that. I could see it going up. I mean, I was like in my mind, he was definitely going to get more than that. I mean, he played a decent number of snaps at wide receiver last year, either in the slot or out wide. I think it was close to 70 or so. And I was fully on board with that until Rodgers came out with his dumb mouth and said that he's like Aaron Jones. He's like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon could both each get 50 passes. And I like in his mind, he was like, that's a good thing for these guys. And to the whole fantasy world, we were like,
no,
we're like for that's really good for AJ Dillon. And that's actually terrible for Aaron Jones. So like, I think Rodgers in his mind was saying something that like both these guys are good. And the fantasy world, it was like that meme where it's like, Donald Glover turns around with the pizza and everything's on fire. Like that was me with my Aaron Jones shares. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean 50 for everyone? I was like, how about 100 for my guy?
I feel like Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. Go ahead, JL.
I was gonna say that I feel like that meme is perfect. It's gonna be like perfectly describing week 1 when Evan Ingram drops his first pass, and everybody and Coop opens up Twitter.
Just get it out of the way quick. Just get that drop out of the way early.
I get tagged when he drops. Well, I get tagged when he drops passes in practice. Bro.
Like I see Fantasy Nav in the chat says, "Mods, bounce him." Got to get JL out of here for talking slander on Evan Ingram.
Keith, shut him down.
Keith, shut him down.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the player that like Twitter flips the most drastically on just from like how they receive what he says the most often. Like he'll say one thing and all of a sudden he's the most relatable quarterback in the league and people are like loving Aaron Rodgers and posting memes with him and joking with him. Then he'll say something else and he's like public enemy number 1. And then 3 days later he posts a picture in like an undershirt and jeans and all of a sudden everyone loves him again. And then 2 days later he's out here and he's like, "Yo, no, eat clay." And everyone hates him again. Just like back and forth, snip, snap, snip, snap.
I mean, dude, it really though, like it's hard not to bash a dude when he says he's eating clay.
That was a nearly perfectly accurate recent history of Aaron Rodgers. Thank you for that, Simon.
Really,
I've been writing a book based on the public perception of Aaron Rodgers recently, so it's fresh in my mind.
I do love that this year, this offseason, he decided to just talk to us like he's a fantasy analyst. You know, like I know his brother is, but like he comes out and he's like, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of targets out there, like those passes, and there's gonna. He basically,
you don't know that word, Aaron.
He's like, I'm throwing.
Stop pretending.
He's like, I mean, if you look at his ADOT, you know, I mean, I was like, okay, Aaron, yeah, but like, but he came out and he's like, he basically said like, yeah, there's going to be just as many yards and touchdowns this year, so we got to see where they're going to go. And I was like, that's what I've been thinking. You know? That's what the chat's been saying.
Well, I see the chat now from Craig in here coming in, and he says Ingram dropping a pass and Coop getting mad is an eventuality. It's gonna happen. That joke. That was a.
We need a ruling.
That was a stretch, Craig. I'm gonna be honest.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Bonk. Give him the bonk, Keith.
The eventuality, dude. Straight to jail. Craig.
Who's gonna just start working that into his everyday vernacular?
Eventuality. Fantasy Naps and No Parole. Absolutely. Guys, coming up, we've got Fantasy Detectives coming up. A new game we're gonna be playing over here. And coming up shortly, we're going to be giving away another jersey. It's happening at some point during the show. You're not going to want to miss that. And we'll play some more hypothetically, the game where we are taking some would you rather, some football related questions to the extremes. We'll be talking some bus picks a little bit later, and then Anita Marks is going to be joining us later on this show. So make sure you stay tuned and make sure you have downloaded that Better Sports Network app so you can call in and hang out with us. Come chat in.
Wait. Coop, do we know what we're giving away today? He's like, "Oh, what's around my desk?"
Are we going to a break or what are we doing here? Because should I give the big reveal on today's?
Oh, no. Are you going to wait until the actual giveaway?
Yeah,
I think that's only fair.
Yeah, that's only fair.
Yeah. We got to build it up.
Friends, presented by Mayo Media Network. Cool, I pulled this down. Like, hearing Ravel got me all like, oh man, collectibles. Check this out. Look at that.
That's like what? Pro Stars.
That's Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky.
Ooh.
It's an official like a still from the cartoon.
Oh, that's pretty dope. I like that. Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, on eBay. It was like $45. It's authenticated. I got the authentication right here.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I thought it was one of I really like. Started going to Comic Cons and they had all these cartoon animation cells. They're called.
Yeah, I never been to a Comic Con before. I like to sleep on Saturday mornings. No, I'm not dissing the Comic Con crew. I'm not dissing them, Nando. I'm just saying, whatever. You know what I mean?
You could go on a Thursday. Like I go on a Thursday because the animation cell boxes. The boxes aren't picked over. You can get like
Oh, I have
many. I have like 5. But
they have Comic Cons in like every city. Like they have them. It's not just at the Javits Center, right? They have them like kind of. They're not gonna have one down here where I'm at, but they have them like all over, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah, they're awesome. So anyway, that's not from Comic Con, but like I learned about it in Comic Con. I'm like, Pro Stars. That's kind of
That's cool.
It's Michael Jordan, kind of dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I see that.
For some reason, I never saw that episode. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember many Pro Stars. I never was a big cartoon guy. Like even when I was 5-6-year-old fantasy executive, my life was always based in reality.
Really?
Yeah.
So what were you doing on Saturday mornings?
Fishing. Fishing.
Yeah,
I was fishing. I was fishing in the Hudson River.
Well, I was going to say off the Tappan Bridge. That sounds about right.
Off the West Side Highway.
Producers remember Pro Stars. You remember Pro Stars in the chat room? Like, it was amazing. It was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan, which I later found out in life it wasn't the real voices. Which it doesn't take that long to voice a cartoon.
You would think Michael Jordan, when he was on top of the world, was going to voice a cartoon?
How long are you? Look, I mean, it takes this long as we're doing the show to step in there in front of a microphone and be like,
Michael Jordan,
Gee, Wayne, let's go get
Michael
the
Jordan
bag.
like to gamble, smoke cigars. You know what I'm saying? I really don't see Michael Jordan pulling up to the animation studio to voice a cartoon.
You assume he would have made a little more money.
He got all the money in the world.
Oh,
Man,
I guess you're right. Yeah.
he's a shoe mogul. Yeah.
Maybe not at
Michael
the
Jordan
time.
don't need no money.
Maybe not at the time. It might be a good story to find out where those voice actors are now. Like, hey, these are Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. What do they do?
I know, that would be cool. That would be.
Let's have another show.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. We'll get those 3 voice actors to come on and do this year's Christmas special.
Oh, that's not a bad idea if we can find them.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
And we are back live with the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And like I promised yesterday, each and every one of those is going to get louder as we get closer to 10 a.m. You know what? At 7 a.m. I can muster some energy for coming out of those breaks, but at 10 a.m. I'm going to be full force screaming yeehaws, ready to go. It'll phase up in between. Guys, it is that time. It is time for our NFL jersey giveaway right now. We're going to be giving we're going to be giving away another NFL signed jersey, either by one of the many current or former NFL players, the legends like Sammy Coates, like Calvin Johnson. Those are the players that I thought we gave away the past 2 days. But in reality, Ben Coates and Chris Johnson jerseys have been given away the past 2 days. But guys, what you have to do, make sure you have the Better Sports Network app open and just start clicking that fun button whenever we say go. It's not going to be as immediate today. It's going to be a little bit more delayed. It's going to be a little bit later. So make sure you keep on pushing it. If you don't get it that first time, keep on mashing it. This is going to be the mad mash until we have a winner right here. So we're going to go ahead and start that contest right now. So go ahead and start hitting that fun button. And whenever we have a winner, we will make sure to announce it live right here. See if we can get you up here for that jersey giveaway.
How many clicks are we doing today? By the way?
I don't know. I have no idea. Do you guys remember?
I think you said it was 420, brah.
Yeah, the 420th caller is going to get the jersey today. So if you are the 420th person to hit that button, well, good morning to you. It sounds like you're having fun this morning, and you're going to get an NFL jersey. Or, Coop, what else could they win today?
Simon doesn't remember, but we asked him to pick the number, and he was like,
I was half asleep.
I don't know. 420, dude. Sublime, bro. The 311,
I just want to clarify. I said 420 is what I said. There was the and in there. I was tired. It was just the first number that came to mind this morning whenever I woke up.
Definitely not how that went down. But yeah, I mean, like as always, you could pick an awesome jersey of a current or past legend, or you could pick the other prize. Grimace Cup was available the other day. Yesterday, you could have won this authentic Chinese finger trap from the Dave & Buster's in Canton, Ohio.
Slightly used. It's like new.
And today, I think today is the day that somebody picks the alternative prize over the jersey. And of course, I get the jersey if they do pick it. Yeah, today you get this
PS5.
This, honestly, a little better than the PS5.
Okay.
It is a hat from the Waffle House.
Oh my God, that looks so good on you
in Canton, Ohio. So yeah, I'll wear this now to make sure it gets nice and mussed up for you. So that
hair grease in there.
If our winner does not take that prize today, Coop, I need it. I need to take that.
I'm willing to spend the $500 on it.
My hands are tied, buddy. From Atlanta a couple years ago. Know what I mean? I moved from Atlanta down to San Antonio, Texas. I'm over here now, and there's been some tough transitions moving from Atlanta to Texas. It hasn't been the easiest at all times. I love it here down in San Antonio, but one of the biggest issues is there is no Waffle House nearby for me to go to. I haven't had Waffle House in about 3 years, and that gross, dirty, delicious, beautiful mess of a breakfast place is my heaven. There's nothing I want more than hash browns scattered and covered right now at this very moment. Oh my God, that hat is just, I'm going to be talking about Waffle House the rest of the show now if you're wearing that hat, Coop.
They got one in Canton, dude. At the Expo next year, we'll have to go. And yeah, I mean, like we talked about yesterday, sometimes for breakfast, you want something boring, like an oatmeal, like a Alan Lazard, or sometimes you wake up and you say, you know what? I'm going Romeo Dubs today. I want waffles today. So today.
Oh, Romeo Dubs, some waffles?
Syrup
or no syrup?
Drenched in syrup.
Drenched. Oh.
Aaron Rodgers is
almost
the syrup for any of his wide receivers. He's what makes him even juicier, is that you got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right there.
So that's what it is. You could win some stupid, awesome jersey,
awesome jersey,
or you could have this hat that was forced onto my head when they found out that I had never been to a Waffle House before, and I was far too hungover at the Expo to say no. So that's how it arrived here, and it could arrive at your door if you're the lucky winner.
That is the perfect time to go to a Waffle House. Is a little bit hungover. I have a pretty gross Waffle House story. It happened in college whenever I came back early from Thanksgiving break, and there was a group of people in the freshman year dorm that got back early. There was only like 5 of us. So it was this really mix-matched group of people. Know what I mean? Like, it wasn't any of our normal friend groups. It was just like random people from around the dorm, the 5 of us that got back early. And it was like 3 a.m. and we were like, let's go to Waffle House. Let's walk up to the Waffle House up the street. Let's sit down up there and let's have a meal. And we sit down, or we try to walk to the Waffle House, and we get there and it is slam packed, just absolutely so busy that we can't even function. So we got one of our friends, we called them up. They were studying to drive us over to a Huddle House in central South Carolina. And we get to the Huddle House, and I felt like
which is like what, like the Kirkland brand of
Waffle House? It's the Kirkland
House?
Brand Waffle House, exactly. So we go to Kirkland Brand Waffle House over there, and our waitress pulls up, and this is in 2012, and I'm pretty sure illegal at the time, but she's just ripping a cig while she takes our order inside the Huddle House, like ripping cigs inside the place. We're sitting down. She's not even looking at us. Yeah. What do you want? What do you want? Like couldn't care less. And I was broke at the time, and someone
the same voice as Pharrell from the bench.
Exactly. Yeah. It might have been Pharrell from the bench in disguise doing like an undercover radio piece over there.
She yells to the back. She's like, "Hey, Mafia, they want some eggs."
Oh my. This would be such a good skit. We got to make this. We got to hit up Pharrell. Yeah,
I was so poor, and someone at the table, like, it came up like, I bet you can't eat a whole waffle in one bite. Like, bet you can't eat an entire waffle from this place in one mouthful. And I was like, well, if you'll buy my waffle, I absolutely can. Like, without a doubt in my mind, I can fit an entire Huddle House off-brand Waffle House waffle in my mouth in one bite. And here's the strategy: you just got to soak it in syrup, and then you grab it like this, where you pinch the corners, and it becomes just like a little pocket. And then you take that whole.
Don't you mean soak it in Aaron Rodgers?
Soak it in Aaron Rodgers. Soak your waffle in Aaron Rodgers, and then you can take that whole pocket. It becomes bite size, and yeah, it's a big bite. But I left covered in syrup and $2.50 richer that day, not having to pay for my own waffle. 100% worth it.
Smelling covered like parliaments, dude.
Virginia Slims.
That's a morning, bro.
And Navs, it's time to taking the chestnut approach. Respect. Yeah, you learn from the best. You watch these competitive eaters and you learn from them.
That's true.
I did not dunk it in the water, though. That would have been a step too far for me. Guys, are you ready for a little bit of a oops, my brain just went right there. Are you ready to talk a little bit more about these roster cuts right now? I wanted to talk
before we do.
Cuts. Oh, you want to go ahead with something, Joe? You got
something? Can we hit some of these questions from the chat? Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thomas in the chat saying, do you think Gimme G, that's his new name now. We're calling him Gimme G.
The G in the chat.
Yeah. Do you think Gimme G staying in San Francisco means the leash is going to be shorter for Lance? So essentially, yeah, does Jimmy G staying in San Francisco hurt Lance's stability as a starter? Like, if he has a slow start, or if he stutters at all through the season, what do you think, Coop?
I think it's 8 a.m. I'm wearing a Waffle House hat. I think what you want to do, this is too serious a football question. What you want to do, call back around 3, ask for a guy named Nando. He could probably help you with the question. I'm just kidding. So with this one, I truly,
we'll just call him right now. We'll ask him. I'm sorry, he's up.
Do you really want me to answer this question? No, but seriously, I do think that now it's pretty easy to put him in the same group as Jalen Hurts, which he kind of already was. Where now there is a backup that we know is capable of coming in and winning games, because we've seen Gardner Minshew come in and win games with the Eagles, and we've seen Jimmy G obviously win games with the 49ers. So it does create that short leash. Both those players have that risk, and you have to have that in the back of your mind when you draft these guys. So I'm not moving them in my rankings because of it, because the upside is the reason we're drafting them there in the first place. But the floor is now confirmed for both players being out.
I think, it makes a ton of sense. I think the narrative of that shift, if they were to go back to Jimmy G and name him the starter, would be terrible, because the whole messaging this whole offseason has been, this is our guy, Trey Lance is our guy, right? And even since they drafted him, because they gave up so much, they were putting their chips on Trey Lance. And so to take a step back from that, I think would be like, they know Jimmy G is not the long-term solution. And I don't think that they're as concerned about, like, they need to win this year. And so I don't think they will, but it is definitely a possibility with Jimmy G there.
Well, and on that note, maybe this is naive. Maybe this is naive of me, but with how good the 49ers have been recently, I don't think they would have made this change to Trey Lance if they didn't think he was going to lead them to wins. Know what I mean? Like they were good
enough.
Like
a Jordan Love situation.
Like I just don't see them making this move. I've got enough trust for this organization and the coaches to say if they're moving on from Jimmy G to Trey Lance at this point, then they've seen enough to say that we're at least in as good of position as we were last year, if not better, with Trey Lance under center than Jimmy G. So I really I would just be shocked if we saw Trey Lance benched, unless it got really bad. Like it was 0-6 and he was throwing 3 interceptions a game. Know what I mean? Like if it was just painfully bad. Otherwise, I don't really think this. I don't think he's on a shorter leash. I don't think this is something where he's going to get benched earlier because they kept Jimmy G. I think this is just, we've seen multiple times now how valuable a good backup quarterback can be in the NFL. The 49ers, it meant more to them to have that good backup than it did to trade him. The teams weren't offering enough. So I really think that's all it is. I'm not too concerned.
Yeah. No, good insight there. We had some people in the chat said, "Gimme G not supplanting Lance," and then Joey following that up with "Grimace supplants everyone."
Grimace, gross. Just absolutely awful.
Except Chuck E. Cheese. It's the only one he doesn't supplant.
Charles Entertainment Cheese.
Exactly, Mr. Charles. We got one more question we can hit quick is from the chat from Javier said, "What do we do with Isaiah Pacheco?" What do you think, Simon?
Well, we know that I think he said it over there in that comment as well, now that I'm looking at it, that Rojo made the 53-man roster as well. And so Isaiah Pacheco for me is nothing more than a late round dart throw. Like if you drafted 0 RB and your starting running backs are Melvin Gordon and Kareem Hunt, know what I mean? And maybe this is the kind of team where you want to take shots on guys that could grow their role, that could move into something bigger. And that's a possibility for Isaiah Pacheco. CEH is likely going to lead this backfield, at least to start the season. I imagine it's going to be a mess of a ton of backs getting carries. We saw multiple people last year find success in this system. Jerick McKinnon looked great at time periods, with Darrell Williams doing well as well. CEH looking all right. So Isaiah Pacheco definitely could have some value, but I'm not overdrafting him. I'm not drafting him super hyped. Dynasty, I think, is where this conversation gets interesting. But I'm still not sure. I want to see it on the field.
That I have to interrupt because Toronto Dave joins the chat. Within 5 minutes, first he goes, "What is Coop wearing?" So clearly he missed the early part with the Waffle House. This is today's giveaway prize. But within moments of Toronto Dave getting into the chat, we get a message from the producer. "Fun button clicks are going nuts. Now it is broken. You broke it again."
Oh, no.
Keith, you broke it again. I'm getting fired. So you guys got Keith fired again.
2 days in a row. The chat is undefeated.
Chat is undefeated, dude. The FYF crew. Craig, did you say 4,200 fun button taps? Yeah, I think we're probably getting there. So hopefully we can get that back online. Otherwise, we got to find the new way to give away this Waffle House.
We just keep adding zeros. By the end of the show, it's the 42,000th tap is going to end up winning the Waffle House hat. Just for such a good prize, guys, we got to keep on pushing that number back. That's what's going on. Keith, get it together. Get that fun button working. But
damn it, Keith.
Coop, I know Jail just asked me, but now I'm curious what you think from a dynasty perspective for Isaiah Pacheco.
I'm fully on board. I mean, these are the guys you have to take stabs on. Like, you hear the rumblings in preseason, right? Like, when you think back to it, like, there have been times, obviously, that guys have gotten hype, but there's been so many more times where guys that we liked got zero hype and then they did nothing. Like, think about how high we were drafting Keyshawn Vaughn and Justice Hill and all these guys, and then through camp you heard nothing, and then they turned out to be nothing. So when I hear, I know, man, I know. So when you hear all these, all this hype for Isaiah Pacheco, you have to assume that there's some upside there, and we saw it with guys like Alvin Kamara. People forget he was completely buried on the depth chart. They had Mark Ingram and they had Adrian Peterson, right? And he emerged from that depth chart. They even traded Peterson away, So there's a possibility.
I remember that fondly.
Yes.
I remember that very fondly.
So there's a possibility if this guy is just that good, you know what I mean? He's making plays, catching the ball, which, we haven't really seen Rojo and CH do. Then he's going to carve himself out a role. And, he could be a guy that, is this year's Alvin Kamara. So you have to respect that and you have to move him up. I actually just drafted him myself in the second round of a dynasty draft that we did recently, a rookie draft.
Me too.
I felt like I got a steal. Yeah. Twinsies. You want to be finger trapped?
Yeah. Oh, wrong. There we go.
Yeah.
Finger trapped, boys.
That's good. That makes for good radio.
Yeah,
it sounded like you were about to bring something up whenever Coop mentioned that Alvin Kamara season, and I think I know what you were gonna bring up right there.
You want to tell the people, or you want me to tell people? It's my favorite story.
Tell it from your perspective. We can leave me out of it because it's a really good move for you.
The year was a few years ago, probably. Whenever Alvin Kamara came into the league, it was a bright, sunny day. Simon and I are talking trades. We're in a dynasty league, sending trade offers back and forth. We're like, I don't know. It involved Doug Martin. It involved a little bit of CJ Anderson. And then I was like, maybe throw in a little bit of Alvin Kamara. This guy's buried. He's got Adrian Peterson above him, all that. Simon and I ended up making a trade. It was Alvin Kamara and who's the other one?
Julio Jones.
Alvin Kamara and Julio Jones for Doug Martin and CJ Anderson.
So what I'm seeing over there, that's actually a ghost of a person who is now dead.
Simon is hollow.
It is my number one worst fantasy move I've ever made in any league ever. I learned lessons from that. Cooper, what you're talking about, when you hear these whispers, there's the philosophy to like sell high, right? Like whenever you hear these rumors, like Damian Pierce right now, people saying like his value will never go higher, trade him away. Isaiah Pacheco, his value will never go higher, trade him away. But sure, that will work out at times, right? Like you're gonna capitalize on these players, the Jeremy Hills that we talked about earlier. But what may happen is you may turn Alvin Kamara into Doug Martin on your dynasty roster, and that doesn't pan out very well for you. That one hurts every time you play against JL in that league and you see Alvin Kamara in his lineup for the rest of until he trades him away. That one punches you in the stomach over and over and over again. I learned a lesson that year.
Rough, dog. That's rough.
God, that was a terrible one.
Learn.
You live and you learn. And then you pick up Philip Lindsay the following year and everything's all right with the world, right? You find some names and you learn your lessons, and then Philip Lindsay doesn't turn into Alvin Kamara and you're a little bit sad again.
and life goes on. And life continues to feed you Philip Lindsay's when all you want is your Alvin Kamara back.
Yeah, I feel like you're in crisis right now, Simon.
I am. I'm every time I think about that trade, I just get thrown back into that mindset of like what I was thinking at the time. And I'm like, no, it made sense. No, it made sense. Like they were coming off the season on it. And then I'm like, no, don't get defensive. It was a bad move, Simon. It just was a bad move. You can move forward. Guys, there were some cuts yesterday that I wanted to talk about a little bit. And everyone watching, I hear people saying, I thought the contest was right now. We are figuring out right now what's going on with that fun button, and we will declare the winner of this contest shortly as soon as we
broke it.
We get that.
You got too wild in the chat.
You got too
this
wild.
Is the consequence.
Because we know some players that were cut yesterday that we wanted to talk about maybe some potential landing spots for them. The first player I wanted to bring up, we talked about Damian Pierce at the beginning of the show, but the player that kind of sparked that conversation was Marlon Mack being cut. And we saw Marlon Mack with some juice in the preseason and out last time he was on the field. But do you guys think Marlon Mack is going to end up on a new team where he's fantasy relevant? Coop, are you waiting for Marlon Mack to end up anywhere? Are there any teams that stand out to you as potential landing spots?
Well, the short answer for that is no, and the long answer is no.
Saw that one coming.
So that's actually the full analysis. If you get cut by the team that has like virtually no offensive weapons and they're expected to win 4.5 games, then you're not really a hot commodity for the other teams usually. So.
Yeah, it's not like the best endorsement or marketing there.
Yeah,
maybe
sure. Yeah.
I know the Ravens are probably a little bit scarred after last year, like what went down at the running back position. I could see them even like just continuing to bring in players, like signing a Marlon Mack, just building out that depth, especially because they're already having problems early in this season. Like they signed Kenyon Drake, but we saw them sign multiple running backs last year that like throughout the season. So I could see maybe the Ravens taking a shot, but that's really it. I'm not too excited about him anywhere else. JL, what about you?
No, I completely agree with you guys.
Another running back that was a surprise cut yesterday, maybe a surprise, a former first-round pick by the New England Patriots, Sony Michel, was cut from the Miami Dolphins. Coop, I just had to throw that little dig in there for you, a little punch in the stomach while I said it.
Appreciate you, dude.
But we just got reports that he's flying to Los Angeles for a meeting with the Chargers, sources say. So is there any excitement for you if Sony Michel ends up on those Chargers? JL?
If he ends up on the Chargers, no. But hear me out. If he stays on the Chargers, still no.
Yeah.
Not interested.
I mean, if anything, it just like muddies anybody that was excited for maybe an Isaiah Spiller. Like we know the thing about that offense is that we want in the modern NFL, we know it's not just a one running back situation, right? So we're trying to get as many high leverage touches as possible. And those are goal line and their pass down work. That's the reality. You know what I mean? Like there's not a huge difference between, getting a 1st and 10 carry at the 50 versus getting a, 3rd and 5 carry at the 30. Like those plays are very similar. It's the pass plays where we know that those targets are worth way more than carries, even in standard leagues, and then the goal line work, right? So if Austin Eckler is locked into the pass work and he's locked into the goal line work, that doesn't leave a lot of room for excitement. The only way that either an Isaiah Spiller or a Sony Michel or a Joshua Kelly or a Larry Roundtree or whatever they got going on over there can carve out a role is if they become
forgot about Roundtree,
the de facto goal line back, where when they get down there, they send him down there and take the starter out, which some teams do that. It's not super common these days, but that would be the only way. Yeah, right. That'd be the only way for that to be the case. So, it makes me not super appealing of a situation. I'd rather take a stab on a guy that could be getting the pass work somewhere, like a Rex Burkhead or a J.D. McKissick or a James Cook.
Does it affect Austin Eckler
last year? What do you guys think? Like, why is Sony Michel being cut now? Like, if he was so good last season, what do you think the reasoning is? Is he truly washed at this point?
Degenerative knee condition and lack of pass catching prowess.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a situation that he's also, and this would be the most terrifying, is that he's not great at picking up the playbook. I mean, some of these schemes are super complicated in terms of pass blocking. Like it's not like you're practically doing math where you're sitting back there and you've assigned numbers to all the linemen, right? Like the linemen and the linebackers. This guy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if somebody steps forward and steps back, now you quietly, without saying anything out loud, need to understand that the guard is now picking up this guy and you're now picking up the other guy. Some people just can't pick that up. Philip Lindsay has struggled with pass blocking his entire career, and it's a big reason he didn't play on pass downs. So this happens to guys, and it's the reason that certain guys like Antonio Gibson, for instance, don't end up being those pass down backs, is that some of these schemes it's not as simple as them saying, hey, go in there and block somebody. Like a lot of times you got to figure out on the fly who you're supposed to pick up, and you can get your quarterback crushed doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. And For me, Coop, you hit on a lot of what I wanted to hit on here with Sony Michel being signed. I was drafting some Isaiah Spiller before. I'm not drafting any Isaiah Spiller now because that clarity behind him, that hype around him doesn't withstand a Sony Michel signing. Because Joe, what you brought up, he was good last year and he could carve out a role. So if Sony Michel signs there, I'm going to put a halt on drafting Spiller, but it doesn't really affect much else for me. It doesn't affect Austin Eckler for me. I'm not afraid of him coming in and stealing Austin Eckler's work, just being a decent backup for him going into that. Guys, it looks like we got the contest working now, if I'm not mistaken. So keep on smashing that fun button, and then we'll have a winner for you shortly coming up. Also coming up, we are going to be playing some more hypothetically. We're also going to be playing some fantasy detectives, talking bust picks, and we've got Anita Marks joining us on the show a little bit later as well. So make sure you're staying tuned for that here on Better Sports Network at the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We'll be back in a minute.
Championships or winning bet slips. Talk about it on Better Sports Network.
The NFC is wide open. One of the NFC teams, though, still predicted to win their division is the Green Bay Packers. They had a big loss in the offseason when Davante Adams went out west to join his BFF and Derek Carr. Now, ADP-wise, Alan Lazard is going off the board as the first Packer wide receiver. And I'm saying to myself, I don't really know if I'm going to have him on my team. And I understand the greatness of Aaron Rodgers and all of that stuff, but I'm like, nah, I can't see it. Because none of them ever hit. It's been Jordy Nelson, Davante Adams, and that's it.
I think Lazard's ADP is fair because we know how important trust is for Aaron Rodgers. And now, here's the difference with the Lazard situation. And do I think the likelihood is he leads this team in receiving? Yes, because he's the receiver who's been there. But here's the weird thing. If you go back to the Brett Favre era of Green Bay, Sterling Sharp was a little bit before my time. I knew the name and I knew Tecmo Bowl. But if you've seen Sterling Sharp play, by the way, go watch A.J. Brown play, and it's staggering how similar they are. Go back to the Brett Favre era. Till 94 when Sterling Sharp got hurt, he was the number one. And then, they had a year of Robert Brooks, but Antonio Freeman steps in, and then he's the number one. And then Bill Schrader steps in, and he's the number one. And then Donald Driver, who was there before, he steps in, and he's the number one. Javon Walker had a year or two. Then Greg Jennings steps in. He's the number one. And then who was there? Who got drafted after Greg Jennings? Well, Jordy Nelson's there. He's the number one. And then as Jordy winds down, well, Davante Adams is there. He's now the number one. They didn't have that high draft pick who's marinating as the number 3 wide receiver on the team for the first time in quite literally 30 years. It's a situation that really, since fantasy football has become a game that you can play easily on the internet, there has always been that succession with the Green Bay Packers that we don't have right now. Alan Lazard, he's got 100 career catches? It's new, and that's why I think we're also perplexed by this, because for years, we could just take somebody who was already there and then put them right in there and understand that guy's going to produce number 1 receiver numbers. This is unprecedented. We don't have a Packers receiver going in the top 50 picks. It is so bizarre.
No doubt. And that's the thing that's so crazy about it now. A lot of talk about Mr. Dubs, Romeo Dubs coming up. With all this worry about that, let's go to the running back position in Green Bay. Jones, second-round draft pick. Dylan coming down the board a little bit later on, 5th, 6th, depending on the format you're playing in. Now, we can get behind the running game, right? And then I think we can get behind Dylan, too. That's the one at the ADP, in my opinion.
Aaron Rodgers did mention that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon can both be 50-plus catch guys, and I don't see why not. And these two guys are hard to tackle. They're hard to bring down. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these guys pay off their ADPs.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
And we are back with the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We got a jersey giveaway going on right now, so make sure you are smashing that fun button for your chance to win an NFL signed jersey or a Waffle House hat that Coop is very kindly modeling and stanking up for you right now. Get some of that head stink on it. Coop, does your head stink smell different than your pit stink? Are they getting a different flavor? If the same person got a jersey from you and a hat from you, are there different aromas they get from each item?
Not only are they different, but I think they're also different depending on the day. So something to really get excited about, because you're kind of getting a unique collectible here. My finger trap stank is also, very, very different. So
very smelly fingers.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting for whoever gets it. And I think you're gonna know when it arrives.
You're gonna know. You're gonna smell it a mile away. You'll know when it's coming, when it's a few days out.
Yeah, getting people real excited for this giveaway. And we do have the giveaway back up and running. Chat, not so much. You guys continue to break all of our toys. They're supposed to make the show fun. So thank you guys for coming in and smashing that fun button. But now is actually you should be once again smashing it, because I think the contest is back up, and whoever smashes it to that sublime number is gonna win.
I'm just gonna start a group chat so that all the chat can be in there and talk to us all the time.
Yeah, we probably should just take this into our own hands, right?
We just got confirmation that it is in fact working. So somebody's going to win a jersey real soon, or a Waffle House hat. So I keep forgetting the real grand prize right here. And we'll see who that is. And whenever that happens, whoever wins, we want you to come up here with us and celebrate winning that jersey, find out who it is, and then making that ever important decision between the hat and the jersey live on air with us. I'm so curious what they're going to pick today. Guys, we are going to move into the
most important decision of your life.
Oh, number one. It's not even close. Nothing could come closer. Maybe the decision to have children or the decision to leave your job is like second and third on that list. But deciding between a Waffle House hat and a jersey that I'll tell you
Top
the wrong
three,
player for is a pretty big decision.
Stampy Coates jersey.
What we just need is
Jordan
need a jersey with a
during the break was saying that he really wants the Sammy Coates jersey. So we're gonna just have to make that happen.
Yeah, that's the grand prize, is a Sammy Coates jersey. What was I thinking that it was Sammy Coates whenever it came up there? We just need players, only give away jerseys where there's only been one player ever in the history of the NFL with that last name. Otherwise I'm gonna pick the wrong one each and every
Hear
single
that, Keith?
time. Yeah, no Smiths, no Johnsons. We only give away Joe Flacco jerseys is what we do here. Nothing but Joe Flacco. That was the first name that came to mind.
I think I actually
have
one.
We have a winner of our contest. Maddie Ice 0613 is the winner today. Congratulations.
Maddie Ice.
Is this the Maddie?
The Maddie Ice?
The Maddie Ice is the winner. Maddie Ice, we would love for you to come up on air with us
Maddie.
while we reveal the jersey that you won.
Here you go, buddy.
Does that go for you?
Why do I have this?
I have no idea. Were you hoping it would appreciate in price?
Looks like I know what I'm wearing tomorrow.
It's like you can see into the future and you can know what players I'm going to bring up whenever we're talking about this, and then you just have those jerseys available, like ready to go.
They actually just they appear in the closet. Just as soon as you say the wrong name, it's just like, oh, look at what we have here,
right next to the Paul Revere
super
outfit.
Weird magic closet.
But Matt,
let's see if we can get back.
Yeah, if you can call in and come on up with us, there's a button on the app that says call in right next to the fun button that you just smash to win that jersey. Hit that button, call in, and we'll see if we can get you up here while we reveal the winner. But while we're waiting for that, I think
I just want people to know real quick. Can I just say one thing real quick? Don't feel any obligation to come on. You know what I mean? It's 8 in the morning.
You are required to.
Sometimes that, come on if you want to. If you don't want to come on and you just want to collect your jersey, not a problem. Just let Keith know. We'll spin the dial and we'll get it out to you. So no obligation to come on the show, but you're invited. All right.
If you're laying in bed, just listening, you got bedhead and you're worried about it. Listen, just call anyway, because we want to see you. We want to see what you look like right now with all your bedhead. We love you for you. We don't care how you look.
And if you're worried about your bedhead, I got a solution for that. It's right here, baby.
Yeah, big old Waffle House
Coming
hat.
your way.
Waffle House hat fix everything. Is that like, Coop's having a bad hair day if he's in there with the Waffle House hat?
Exactly. His hair is so greasy under that thing.
Dude, I did wash it this morning. Let's see how it looks.
You washed the Waffle House hat?
It does.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's a new segment where we look at Coop's hair every day and try to determine whether he showered or not this morning before the show. Everyone takes a guess. If only we had smell-o-vision on here.
Smell-o-vision.
Chat, what do you think? This makes for great radio. Yeah, talking about what my hair looks like under my hat. We're all in trouble here.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're doing this reveal?
Yeah. So looks like Keith wants us to reveal the jersey. Let's get it going. Let's fire it out.
Let's reveal what Matty Ice is going to win now. I'm excited to find out.
Get in the game.
If this isn't Joe Flacco, I quit.
Elite playoff quarterback.
Let's go.
Yeah. I'm just so panicked that I'm going to get it wrong.
Oh, damn, Devontae Adams, dude. That is thick, bro.
Guys, I don't want to get emotional here, but that's the best jersey we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think so. Well, the Ben Coates jersey, bro.
Well, you're a bias.
Goats,
You
I will
love
say
tight ends more than anybody on planet Earth, and you're a Patriots fan, Coop. I think you're a little biased on Ben Coates.
Yeah. Now, I will say, dude, that when like some people moved Devontae Adams down in their dynasty rankings when he got traded, I moved him up. No joke.
Really?
Because if you listen to what Devontae Adams actually said himself about why he did the move, it is super interesting. And I think that it's actually a huge positive for Dynasty. He came out and said, I don't want to bash anybody, and I love Jordan Love, but I'm trying to protect my legacy. I'm trying to do something special and build something long lasting. And he basically said, I don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to play, another year, another 2 years. I want to make sure that I build a huge legacy. So he came out and reassured his dynasty owners. He's like, I'm going to go play with my college teammate, my college quarterback who's younger, and I'm going to play for a long time, and we're going to do something special. And at the end of the day, you're going to look at my numbers and be like, that guy was special. And that's the kind of dude that I want on my dynasty team. So
I like to think that he made those decisions for dynasty managers.
He did.
Just to show them, give them the confidence.
It should be like that. It should be like stockholders, where it's like you have to do whatever's best for your stockholders. You know? Yeah,
you have a fiduciary responsibility.
Like Maurice Jones-Drew should have scored that touchdown instead of taking a knee at the 1 yard line. Just for me personally, you know. Josh
Jacobs should have gotten a letter from the SEC after saying that he wasn't going to start, and then he was going to start.
Yeah. We want Austin Eckler's out here, you know, streaming video games and saying, my hammy's bothering me, don't start me, or I'm good to go, put me in there like that. I love that. Austin Eckler gets a bump in my rankings just for his transparency,
100%
personal transparency.
I am getting absolutely roasted in the chat, guys. People coming in. Jordan came in and said, it's Samuel Adams. And then Dustin came in and said, it's Flozell Adams. Just relentless. Just calling out all the Adams I could have mistaken. If you noticed today, I was a little quiet when that jersey read. I was
Samuel
like, I'm pretty sure that's Devontae Adams, but I'm just going to stay quiet till Coop says it out loud. And then I'm going to celebrate about it being Devontae Adams. I was this close to saying Samuel Adams.
Matty Ice in the chat. Damn, so hyped for the jersey. Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah.
You're welcome, dude. You earned it by coming in here.
I'm hyped for you.
Smashing that fun button up.
But now you have a very important decision ahead of you, Matty Ice. What are you going to actually take?
The Samuel Adams jersey?
You can take home the Samuel Adams jersey, or you can take a Coop Stanked Waffle House hat. Choice is yours, my friend.
There's only a minor rip.
It gives a character.
Slight level. There's actually 2 flavors of stank on here.
Good condition.
There's today, and then there's also Fantasy Football Expo morning hangover, actual inside of a Waffle House stank. Nobody was smoking a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes. So you're gonna have to smoke those at home if you want to get the full experience. But I mean, let us know what you think.
You're gonna have to smoke those at home if you want to. It's really if you got to get into it if you want to experience it. All right, it's immersive.
Yeah, and I will say,
encouraging our listeners to smoke at home.
One of the 2 things we're giving away had someone write all over it, and one of them didn't. That jersey is just covered in somebody's Sharpie marks, and Coop hasn't written a single thing on that Waffle House hat. So you don't even have to worry about it being marked by that pen. Coop, can you confirm? Clean as a whistle. Just a small tear, no Sharpie at all.
I had my earphones off. Hardly any Sharpie. I can confirm that there's hardly any. So
it's 80 or 90%.
That's the best I could do.
Guys, we are going
to have it autographed by Keith, though.
Yeah, Keith autographs everything, of course. Yeah, all of these are autographed by Keith. Guys, we are going to get into our next game. We are calling it Fantasy Detectives. Coop and JL are going to be playing today, and this game is going to work it's going to work like this. I'm going to tell you how it works right now. I was about to say it's going to work like another game, but I realized I'll just explain the rules to this game. I'm going to slowly reveal some information about a player, and I want you guys to guess who that player is. So I'm going to reveal, say, one fact at a time. If you guys think you know, take a shot. If you're right, we'll end it. You guys can get the point. If you do not know it, then we'll move on to the next clue if no one has gotten it yet. And to everybody watching at home, if you want to call in and play with us, hit that chat button, hit that call in button right above the chat, and you can call in and play with us right now. Coop and JL, are you guys ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Get my Sherlock Holmes outfit on.
Here is your first fantasy detective player.
Finger trap on.
I'm just going to give you a small clue to start this one, okay? A very small clue. This is a running back that is from Cincinnati, Ohio. So if you guys know some hometowns, you might know this one. Any guesses on who this running back from Cincinnati, Ohio is?
No. Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
I'm going to give you more information.
I think he just reveals the clues to us slowly. So, okay. Running back from Ohio. I do know one running back from Ohio. Or he's from somewhere in Ohio. Is it Kareem Hunt?
It is not Kareem Hunt. JL, do you have any guesses on who this is? Or do you guys want to, if you both agree, we can move on to the next clue. Or if you both give a guess.
Can someone confirm that Kareem Hunt is actually from Ohio? I think that's why he signed with the Browns, because he grew up in Ohio, or he went to college there or something.
I can find out.
I'm cool with moving on. I honestly don't know a single running back from Ohio. I don't know a single person from Ohio.
Yeah, but what? So. Dude, why does it hurt to guess? Just chuck something.
I don't know. Is there a penalty? I'll throw James Robinson in there.
10-point penalty for getting it wrong.
Damn it.
Sorry, Jay. You are now at negative 10 points. Coop didn't have that penalty. It just got implemented. So you're going to start at negative 10. And Kareem Hunt is from Ohio. We got confirmation that he is from Ohio.
So I actually just got 100. So I got 100 points. JL lost 10.
100, actually.
All right. So JL lost 100. I got 100. On to, let's get another clue.
Your next clue. He's 24 years old and has finished as the RB8 and RB14 in PPR points per game the last 2 years.
8 and then 14?
8 and then 14.
In points per game.
In points per game. So not end of season finish. This is in points per game.
Nick Chubb.
Years old.
Not Nick Chubb. Good guess, though.
Damn.
Good guess.
Yeah. 24, and he's been a top running back 2 times the last 2 years. Is it
24?
Who's young?
A lot of
young
people.
Running backs.
There's so many young running backs.
Not really. Is it Josh Jacobs?
It is not Josh Jacobs. It is not Josh Jacobs, because we're going to move on to our next clue. And I think this one's just going to straight up give it away, because you guys obviously know this about this player. He is an Eagle Scout. Now you got it?
Come on.
I can give you
Did
a little
that give
bit
it to
more.
you?
Yeah, Dale.
Who's the most likely to be an Eagle Scout when I think of running backs in the
Saquon
NFL?
Barkley, I feel like, right?
He's got too much swag to be an Eagle Scout.
No way, dude. He's such a good dude.
You think he's gonna be sitting in an Eagle Scout meeting at like the local rec house,
definitely
wearing
not
his ice on his ears?
It's definitely not Leonard Fournette. It's not Alvin Kamara. Leonard Fournette won't even pay his parking.
Leonard Fournette as an Eagle Scout is such a funny idea. Just imagine that. It's another skit idea.
Leonard Fournette gets arrested for the 6th time for not paying his
Eagle Scout dues.
No, for not paying for the tint on his windows, and he's like, "Guys, I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm good."
I'm an Eagle Scout.
I'm seeing some guesses in the chat as well. Joey was guessing Antonio Gibson, which is wrong, and Dustin guessed AJ Dillon, which is also wrong. Bonk to both of those guesses. I'll reveal a little bit more information for you guys if you want a little more. I'm kind of disappointed Eagle Scout didn't give it to you, but I can reveal the next clue. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
He plays in the NFC North. He's running back in the NFC North.
NFC North. Do we have
David
to take
Montgomery?
JL got the first one correct.
Yes!
It is David
JL.
Montgomery. David Montgomery is from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's 24 years old, and he's finished as the RB8 and RB14 in PPR points per game the last 2 years. And He's an Eagle Scout. I wonder
That's
what his
tricky.
Eagle Scout project was. Did he build benches at the local elementary school? Did he put up a gazebo at the local rec center? What did he do for his Eagle Scout project? Jail, what
Broke
do you
some
think he
ankles, I think.
broke some ankles. He writ that proposal up for like the Eagle Scout board that I imagine approves the Eagle Scout projects. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna break some ankles. But guys, before we move on to our next fantasy detective, I did want to talk about it because Coop, you said while we're doing it, so he's been a top running back each of the last 2 years. Know what I mean? Like whenever we were just looking at those numbers. And I feel like he's being slept on a little bit this year. Again, he's being maybe rightfully so, but he's a little bit further down. Maybe it's Khalil Herbert. Maybe it's just pessimism about this Bears offense. But what do you think about David Montgomery this year? Do you think he's worth that like mid-round draft pick?
Yeah, so I'm intrigued in that range because there's very few guys that have the capability of being a top back. But the scary thing, of course, is that it's a new regime, right? We already know, we talked about it yesterday on the show, that Luke Getsy is going to run with the quarterback a ton. He gave his college quarterback last time he was calling plays a ton of carries. So anytime the quarterback is being mobile, especially in the red area, it's a drain on production. And also, we don't know if they're going to use more Khalil Herbert, if we're going to mix them in. There's been some rumors to that degree. So he's definitely a guy that I'm willing to take when it's clearly split backs. Like I would never take like a Kareem Hunt over him because Kareem Hunt doesn't have the upside without an injury of just taking over the backfield the way that David Montgomery could. But I am a little wary because of the regime change. You never know what they're going to do.
Jail, do you agree with Coop here?
I agree with him somewhat. Yeah, I think the value of David Montgomery is the opportunities that he's been seeing. It's just been unprecedented to have a running back. It's not unprecedented. It's uncommon to have a running back get that much work on a single team. And to Coop's point, a new regime means that might change. They might switch their strategy. They might not use David Montgomery in the same way that the last regime used him. So I think he's fine. I'm not like fading him for that reason, but it certainly makes me consider it. It adds to his uncertainty.
Yeah, and I see in the chat Jordan saying people are so hype for Khalil Herbert, and I think maybe a little bit too hype. He was decent whenever we saw him last year, but I'm trusting David Montgomery until we see otherwise. Now, that being said, where he's being drafted, you're not paying starting running back like top tier up there with some of these other players. He is going in some of the middle rounds. So I think that uncertainty about Khalil Herbert, about the regime change, is kind of built into his draft cost. And I'm fine grabbing him there.
I think he's
especially as your RB2. I would love to have David Montgomery right there.
Yes, me too. Me too. I think he's a value.
Yeah. So after the first round, so in the first round of guessing, I got 100 points. JL lost 100. JL got it right.
1,000.
He got 10.
1,000.
He got 10 points for getting it right.
So it's now 100 to negative 90.
100. I have 100. He
I
has
lost
negative
1,000
90.
guys.
Yeah. So it's 100 to negative 990 now. So
okay, Jail. A couple more rounds, and I think you can build back up to.
I got this.
Guys, we're going to give another clue and give you guys a minute to think on it before we start taking guesses on that. The next clue, start thinking on this one, guys. Don't give me your guesses yet, but start thinking on it. This quarterback had a 76.2 completion rating in the red zone and a quarterback rating of 102.8. So start thinking about that, guys. Everyone in the chat, think about that. Start throwing your guesses in. We've got a lot more coming up. We're going to keep on playing some fantasy detectives. Then we're going to be talking bust picks, and Anita Marks is joining us later on this show. So make sure you stay tuned and think about who that player is this next round of Fantasy Detective. See if you can get it before our contestants.
Here, our very first guest ever, the Action Network. Darren, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Of course, anytime I could be the first guest on anything, not to downgrade you, but yeah, no, this is great.
Darren, if I can go back to this Mickey Mantle thing real quick, this $12.6 million, do you think that would have been like 20 if this happened like 6 months ago?
This makes sense. I mean, you have such a beautiful card. The story about they couldn't get rid of these things because it was the high numbers, and the whole story on the mantle, like basically it was the high numbers. So it was the second set of cards that came out, kids had already moved on. And then like by 53, they're like, wait, that's the old ones. That's 52. And they couldn't really sell any of them. So they dumped them off a barge. And, so you had a scarcer versions of the 52 cards. Listen, I think crypto had people spending a ton of money, obviously. And so I think there's probably a little bit of a downturn, but I think where you see most of the downturn is things that don't make sense. And, you know, to me, I just think, yes, there's still things that I'm just absolutely shocked about. But even in memorabilia, even by looking at Heritage last night, man, I think I had $59,000 in bids that all lost. It seems pretty healthy out there in the collectibles market.
Tell us about this Hugh Hefner Viagra pill container. You know what I'm saying? I've heard the stories about it. How did is it prescribed? Did you go to, you know, was it at CBS filled it? Like what? Like how did you come across that? That's a cool piece.
Yeah, listen, you know, people think it's funny, but like it is what it is. I just saw it. There was a estate sale from his ex-wife Julian's Auctions, and his pill bottle was up there, and it said it was worth $1,000, and I was like, I don't think it's worth $1,000. I mean, it's the greatest like party trick of all time to show. It is his real pill bottle from the pharmacy. Hefner, you. You know, take 1 pill prior to sex, 2 if needed. You know, it's great. No pills inside, but I did spend $8K on it. And the way people, I wish you would have told me you were going to tell. I would have brought it here with me. But yeah, it's in a vault, and when I know that I need to pull some trick at a party or something, I might bring it out. But it's a good item. You need one-of-one stuff. You know, I think that in this world, I think it's worth it to protect yourself in getting one-of-one stuff. It doesn't have the same liquidity because you can't say, oh, that sold yesterday for this. But I have comfort in
that. Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Show here on Better Sports Network, and we left you guys on a little bit of a cliffhanger with that fantasy detective getting some guesses. Coop and JL, I'm going to repeat the clue for you just so you guys remember. I know just horrible memories, and then I want to hear what guesses that you guys came up with during that time. So your next clue was this QB had a 76.2% complete, or a 76.2 completion rating in the red zone and a quarterback rating of 102.8. Who is this quarterback?
That's a massive red zone completion percentage. So my first thought is to go for guys that I think are great in the red area, right? And
smart, very smart strategy.
Yeah, and so I know that last year Kirk Cousins, man, I feel like every pass he threw was a touchdown, whether it was to Adam Thielen, who had 10 within the first 11 games, and then when he got hurt, you know, KJ Osborne had 5 of his 7 touchdowns in those games, so he had 7. Justin Jefferson was a beast. So Kirk Cousins is my guess. Off the top of the head, as somebody that it's kind of I feel like you can't just guess the best passers. It's got to be somebody a little sneaky. So I'm going Kirk.
That's a great guess, and it is so wrong. Just not the correct answer at all. Guys, JL, I want you to guess too, but everybody watching, if you're watching this and you think you know who it is, call in and play along with us. Call in.
Come on up.
Guess. Come on up.
Get on in here.
Get on in here.
Get on up. Get up.
Before I make my guess, I just want to shout out Fantasy Dog in our YouTube chat. Sent us $5. He said, keep it going, y'all. Good stuff. And he said, y'all seriously rock. Very good content. Thank you so much, Fantasy Dog. And then he's throwing some guesses in here. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and he liked the Cousins guess, Coop. Well, I liked everything you said up until the fact that you said you liked Coop's Cousins guess, because that's such a dumb guess, Coop. What are you thinking?
Why do you hate Kirk Cousins so much?
I don't know, honestly. I have no idea.
Can you tell?
It's just something about him. It just really gets me.
You don't like that? That's what
I don't like. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's exactly what it is. So the red zone percentage makes sense. I'm going between a couple guys. I don't want to reveal it because I'm afraid Coop's just gonna copy off me and steal my answer for the next round. I'll go with Tom Brady.
So handsome.
That is incorrect. I'm sorry. It is not Tom Brady.
Are you sure?
Let me double check. Yes, it is still not Tom Brady.
Can you just double check and make sure it's not Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, 1 second.
It's not. I'll say this time.
Yeah, no, it is not Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was looking for that Kirk in there, but I just didn't.
One day, can we get Kirk Cousins on the show? And can it just be like a bit where he comes on? He's just like, it's just me and him. You guys disappear. And Why do you hate me, man?
Just have duke it out. I mean,
just have a moment.
What did I do to you?
I don't know. Jalen, you know how that's going to play out. You're going to leave that conversation hating him more. Like we're framing it as it's going to be like this redemption story where it's like you guys come together, become friends, you start going on family vacations together. But really what's going to happen is you're going to leave them and be like, oh God, I hate that guy.
He's like super earnest in the conversation. And I'm just like dismissive the whole time.
I think it's fair to say, I think it's fair of us to say, Keith, get us Kirk Cousins for the show or you're fired again.
Yeah, I think we are absolutely within the realm of our responsibilities in saying that.
JL versus Kirk live on Better Sports Network. Guys, your next clue for this one is this mystery QB revealed he has a superstition where he will wear the same headband as long as his team keeps winning. If they lose, he throws it out. JL.
That's Gardner Minshew.
I'm sorry, it is not Gardner Minshew, but great guess with the headband.
I thought maybe this is like a trick, like because he didn't play that much. I don't even know if he played at all last year. That like his 76% completion percentage in the red zone was like 3 passes.
That's such a it really is a Minshew thing to say though, right? Like it just seems like a Minshew fact. He's definitely now you got to think about who's a headband guy. You know what I mean? Like Tom Brady's not wearing headbands. Kirk Cousins definitely isn't. Right?
Oh my God! Can you imagine?
If we had that clue, I never would have guessed.
He wears a headband at home. I'm positive of it, even without the long hair. Just like
it's like sauerkraut flavored Greek yogurt.
How do you even wear a headband under your helmet? That doesn't make sense. But
how big do you think headbands are?
I'm big enough, dude. I mean, I've worn a helmet, dude. It doesn't seem reasonable. So let me.
Every headband Coop's ever worn has been made out of memory foam, like 2-inch thick memory foam.
Yeah.
He's like, how do you even fit that under the hat?
And if I ever have a bad show, I throw it away.
He goes through a lot.
Yeah. I feel like, dude. Okay, so I'm literally making my next guess just based on who I think is a headband type of guy. And
I love how after every clue you're like, all right, I'm gonna make my guess based off that clue,
based on only that clue. Because I mean, like, well, I didn't get it with the first one, and I don't know, I didn't memorize everyone's red zone numbers, unfortunately. So I feel like Kyler Murray feels like a headband type of player. Does he not?
It's a good guess.
That is a very good guess. And Coop, it is wrong. I'm sorry, it is not Kyler Murray.
I'm surprised the chat doesn't want in on this. The chat hasn't called up here, and usually they're trying to just wreck us and beat us in our games.
And they succeed usually.
And they also succeed 100% of the time.
I see Fantasy Nav guest had a good guess in the chat. Davis Mills. It is incorrect though. It is not Davis Mills. Do you guys want another clue?
Yeah.
In college, this player won the Heisman Trophy. So this is a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback.
JL?
Yes, JL?
Baker Mayfield?
Bonk! It is not Baker Mayfield. It is not Baker Mayfield.
Is it Joe Burrow?
It is not Joe Burrow.
That was the first name, Coop, that came to mind whenever the red zone percent or the completion percentage came up. I was like, ooh, Joe Burrow. That was the other name.
Heisman. Who else won a Heisman, dude?
Derrick Henry.
It is not Derrick Henry. He's not a quarterback. You're taking the Coop strategy of only pay attention to the most recent clue. Don't add them together.
Is it Devonta Smith?
I wish it was intentional.
It is Devonta Smith. It is not Devonta Smith. He plays wide receiver.
I missed. I wasn't.
They throw stuff.
I got to start listening to jail.
Yeah, they have completion percentages sometimes.
Guys, it looks like we've got someone who's going to come on and play with us in just a moment. So before I reveal that next clue, I'm going to go ahead and send them up here to hang out with us. You guys keep thinking on those clues. Think of some more wide receivers and tight ends to guess, because that's working really well for you guys.
Mr. Scampers guessed Taysom Hill. Also, what up, Mr. Scampers? Welcome to the chat.
What's up, Joey? Welcome to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. Do you have a guess for us?
Simon, JL, it's great to see you today.
I wish I could say the same.
What?
I think it's Jameis.
What in tarnation?
Jameis?
We can't let him. Who let him on the show? Keith?
What do you think, JL? You said ooh. Do you think it's Jameis Winston?
That's interesting. I don't know that he would have that high of a completion percentage in the red zone.
I can only think of 2 other guys that have won the Heisman that aren't wide receivers and stuff. So I mean, I think in my mind, there's a 50-50 chance it is Jameis.
Well, the correct answer is Jameis Winston. Joey, you have gotten 1,000 points. You are
You
now
little
in
stinker.
first place in this game for getting that one correct. Nice job. What gave it away? What
my
clue was
arch
it that-
nemesis comes on. He kisses my mom. He steals my dynasty team, and then he correctly guesses. He wins 1,000 points on my game show. I'm hovering over the kick button, Joey. You better say something awesome right now.
I love how it went from Zach Wilson.
No, I mean,
kissing your
you
mom to
guys-
Joey.
You guys went through every other Heisman Trophy winner, so it's pretty easy at that point.
Didn't Lamar
I would have
Jackson
said
win too?
Baker Mayfield was what I was thinking, but
Baker rocks a headband. He rocks a headband for sure. And he, guys, he had such a high red zone percentage because he only played in 7 games. The smaller sample size, the easier it is to keep those numbers high. But that was the trick in that question for sure on that one.
So I nailed the trick. I just didn't get the guess.
Joey, your hair
Joey.
looks great. Your hair looks great this morning.
Yeah,
I have to
say
be.
the same.
Can
I
you
have to
see
be
my hair?
unbiased. I can't.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
I have to be unbiased.
delightful
right now and say
thank you.
that.
I'm going to work.
Wow, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
I'm selling water.
It's working
I
for
was
you.
going to say, his work as a male model, Joey, are you going in to just
I
take
know,
some
right?
shoots for GQ
Yeah.
or something?
Is that what you mean by
The
water
only
work?
thing-
You just like wet t-shirt contest?
Yeah. The only male model I would be like a male model for like Depends because I just turned 40 and I'm old now.
Or mailman model?
Yeah, well, you're going to have to steal that job from
I would
me.
love to be a mailman model. Those shorts, I got some calves, so
Clean,
it would look good.
dude. Come, you be on the cover of the
Halloween.
calendar.
Do you though?
I was dressed up as a devil for Halloween one year. Don't worry, this is getting related. This is tangentially related to what we were just saying. And I was like 7 years old. And before we went trick-or-treating, like I'm in costume, full makeup. I got the full outfit on. We decided to play hide and seek. And I have always been hyper competitive, like beyond competitive. I do not want to lose. So I got in a hiding spot and boy, did I have to pee. I just had to pee so bad. But I was not coming out of that hiding spot. Like until I had won, I was staying there. And so I pissed my pants in my devil outfit on Halloween, an hour before we had to go trick-or-treating. Full on just Satan sprinkle down there as I went pee in those in that devil outfit. It was not
Ew.
good. So
Simon,
Wait, was it
we went-
worth it?
well, listen to the end of the story. I had to find a backup costume. I had to figure out what I was going to wear. The only thing we had, for some reason, my aunt a couple months prior had sent us a child-sized mailman outfit. And so that year, I went from being dressed as the devil to trick-or-treating as the mailman on Halloween. And that was my costume that year. When I was 7, I was the mailman.
I kind of like that. And Simon, I can totally relate to the peeing part of that. That's me in every single Blockbuster I've ever gone to, trying to decide between a game.
You've peed your
Every
pants
single
every
time.
time you've gone to
I had to start
Blockbuster.
peeing because I can't decide. Had to run to the chicken out, use the bathroom, to come back.
And then
Grandma's
you-
still waiting.
And then you still pick like Echo the Dolphin. You can't figure out how to play, like how the first level works.
Yeah. And then I pee my pants anyway.
You pee your pants again. It's just an endless cycle, really.
Yeah.
Guys, before we move on to our next fantasy detective round, I did want to ask you guys a little bit about Jameis Winston for this upcoming year. So, Joey, I know you are a Bucks fan, so you got to see him there in Tampa Bay. He's now in New Orleans. He's got LASIK. He looks like a different guy. What do you think about Jameis Winston for fantasy football in New Orleans this year?
I love him more and more by the day. I think just out of sheer just repeating myself over and over, I've just talked myself into loving him. But I mean, he's gonna have Michael Thomas, he's gonna have Chris Olave, and Alvin Kamara too. Checking down to him, like I'm glad that Jameis is no longer on the Bucks because we got Brady. But he's, like I've said before, he's infuriating to have as your team's quarterback, but he is so much fun as a fantasy quarterback. I love Jameis this year. I think I've just moved him up right behind Justin Fields, and I might even make that move ahead of Fields. Don't kick me off the show for saying that because I haven't done it yet. But I do. I like the potential Winston has, especially week 1 against Atlanta. Jameis is going to light them up.
Yeah, I'm fully on board. And you know what I actually like is I like him as a long shot. This might sound a little crazy. I like him as a long shot to lead the league in passing yards because
absolutely.
Joey mentioned the wide receivers. Dude, you didn't even mention Jarvis Landry. I mean, this guy has a full arsenal for him. And he's led the league in passing yards before. 2019, 16-game season, threw for over 5,000 yards. This year, you could put $100 on him and win 2,600 if he leads the league in passing. And the Saints are kind of in that position. They no longer have Teron Armstead, so the run game might not be as robust. There's a real chance that this dude could come out and go full on, new eyes, new knee, can't lose, right? So I'm fully on board with sprinkling a little money on him to do that. Now, JL, I have to ask you, would you take Jameis Winston or would you take Kirk Cousins? And
we can't hear you, JL. He hates Kirk Cousins so much that just saying his name makes it so you can't hear him.
I hate when you realize that you're muted after like a significant amount of time, and all those things you said before, nobody heard.
But Keith said that he actually censored you because he knew the slander that was coming out of your mouth. So
how dare you?
He had to actually shut you down and advance there.
How dare you? All right, so you said Kirk Cousins or who was it again? Jameis Winston.
You know the player.
I'm going Jameis. Oh yeah, I know.
Should I
talk about Keith?
Should I text it to
you? I'm gonna go Jameis Winston there actually.
Whew, I'm gonna go Kirk Cousins on that.
I'm marking it down.
It's still Kirk Cousins for me. Joey, it's Kirk Cousins for you over Jameis, even though you're high on Jameis.
Yeah, it is. Coop and Jalen.
Please don't take that as real advice. Take Kirk Cousins over Jameis Winston.
I'm continuing to keep this list of players you take over.
Somebody's gonna come in and like listen for the first time and not realize that it's a bit, and they're gonna think like they're gonna be like, oh, JL, thanks for losing my championship. I freaking took Davis Mills over Kirk Cousins.
Is this the best receiver room Winston's ever had? Like, I'm in my head, I think it might be.
I mean, he had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and with the third receiver, it could be. It really depends how good Chris Olave is, right? Because if he's not that great, then I think at one point he had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Deshaun Jackson, and Adam Humphries, which is pretty stout receiving group.
Yeah, until I see it from Chris Olave, I think I'm going to take even just Mike Evans, Chris Godwin over this. But that receiving core has the potential to very clearly be the best he's played with. I just got to see it from Olave. And I got to see how Landry fits into this offense. I feel like he's kind of the forgotten man there in New Orleans whenever we talk about the receivers. While we've seen some pretty awesome fantasy seasons from Landry, so we'll see. Joey, you got time for one more round of us?
You
have to go to work. Thank you so much for popping on. We'll talk to you later, Joey.
Bye.
See you. Joey is in. Yeah, bye. That's how I'm going to end every phone call from now on. Just, bye. My grandfather, whenever he used to hop off the phone, he'd be like, okay, I'm done talking to you. And then just hang up. It would be sudden every single time.
At least he said something. He didn't just hang up.
Mid-conversation, he would just hit it and he would just get done with the conversation and decide we're done here. Absolutely over. No more time for you. Guys, I think we got time for another fantasy detective. Everybody watching, if you want to call in and play, our listener that called in, Joey, just called in and beat both these idiots on air. So if you think you can take them down in this next round, call in and play along with us. And if you're ready, I'll go ahead and start our next fantasy detective.
Let's do it.
Okay. This quarterback averaged 13.2 fantasy points per game last season.
That's not that much at all.
Heineke.
I'm sorry, that is wrong. Coop, what is your guess?
13.2. So I could give it some info away that would help JL, or I could keep it to myself. But we should be sharing. You know what? We got to share with the listeners when we have stats. I do remember that the depending on the format, of course, is this 4-point or 6-point passing? Just to kind of throw a wrench in.
I believe this is 4-point.
Yeah, I know that the QB 12 last year, because I use that as like a metric to see how many guys, like Davis Mills, for instance, had a good number of games where he finished over 18 points, and 18 points was kind of the average for the QB 12. So I know that this guy did not finish as a top 12 QB. So we're talking somewhere in the QB 12 range. I'm going to go with my boy. I'm going to go with my hometown boy, Mac Jones. You're feeling that one?
You got it exactly right. Off the first clue. It is Mac Jones, baby.
Look.
Oh, I see it, dude. I see it.
I was going between Mac Jones and whoever the heck I guessed.
What you don't know is Jail actually has on that piece of paper every NFL player written somewhere on there. So he can just go like, look, I had that written down.
He's got 32 pages with each player's name on one page. That's kind of a genius move.
They have to be far enough apart, though, so that he can just show one without it looking.
Listen,
I'm
going to start using that to cheat on your 3 o'clock show.
I've learned how to. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that every single weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, I have an opportunity to get better at cheating. And so naturally, I have notebooks full of things that help me cheat.
Man, I'm just a little disappointed you got it before the next clues, because I was kind of excited to get there. The next one was he goes by a nickname, And then his real name is Michael, is what was going to be that third clue.
Oh, that would have been obvious.
Without giving it away.
Yeah.
So we have a bonus question here. Coop, you're gonna get 20 points for getting that one correct, bringing you up to 120. Jail, you are still at negative 990. Joey is sitting at 1,000 points. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, you're back at negative 1,000. You lost 10 more points for getting that wrong. But we have a bonus question, and this one is for an additional 300 points if you get this right. He's called Mac because of his middle name. Do you know his actual middle name?
Of course. It's McCorkle. I'm not kidding.
It is McCorkle. That is 100% real. If you heard that and you thought it was a joke or just a nickname that you thought people had for him, no, that's his real middle name. Michael McCorkle Jones.
Old butter noodles.
It's tough to wake up in New England every morning and then you're brushing your teeth and you remember that your quarterback's name is McCorkle. Like
there's not a more New England thing than that.
That's a tough realization every morning. You're like, wait a second, our quarterback's name is McCorkle Jones. Are you kidding me? Are you serious right now?
So cold outside.
Yeah.
While you're showering in your Paul Revere outfit, that's just what you're thinking about the entire time. I imagine the whole morning routine takes place as Paul Revere.
Well, how else are you gonna wash it?
Yeah, you can't put it through the washing machine. Are you insane? That's not going to work. JL, would you rather have McCorkle or Kirk Cousins in fantasy this year?
McCorkle, easy. So easy.
But for real,
add it to the list.
With Mac Jones, I feel like he's the forgotten guy whenever we talk about these second-year quarterbacks, and I think it's because he did well last year, and it feels like people aren't expecting to jump forward. Like what he did last year is what people are expecting for him. Coop, you're a Patriots fan. You're probably hearing all the talk. Are you expecting a leap forward for Mac Jones, or do you think we're going to see similar 13.2 fantasy points per game from him this coming season?
I think it would have been easy to project a leap forward for him if Josh McDaniels remained with the team. Unfortunately, it's hard to project that when they literally are saying they still don't know who's going to call the plays. Like they asked Matt Patricia and he's like, oh, so it's like with what's going on now, I expect more of the same. And I think when you look at a lot of his Vegas over-unders, like last year, I think he threw 23 touchdown passes. This year it's set at 24. They're expecting a bit of the same. The thing is with Mr. McCorkle is that he actually did quietly have the second highest completion percentage for a rookie of all time. Dak Prescott was first and he is second. So if they were to increase the volume, it would be interesting to see how that would translate. And if he could take a big step forward, he doesn't have the weapons around him to be the next Joe Burrow and take a massive leap forward. But, they did add Devontae Parker. They're getting some guys healthy again. So I think he could be okay. But for the time being, the way the team's built, he's really set up to be a game manager. Right?
I feel like the Patriots team is just perfectly designed to kill the mood of every single game they play this year. Like their whole strategy, I feel like is just going to be unders, basically.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's set up perfectly. And they're like, yeah, we're going to get some carries. First of all, they already have a 7-headed monster in the backfield. And they're like, like with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson and Ty Montgomery and Pierre Strong. And then they say, oh yeah, we're going to make sure we get some carries to Jonnu Smith and Kendrick Bourne, and then they have, they're hyping up Tyquan Thornton and Devontae Parker and they already have Jacoby Myers and they have 2 tight ends. It's just like the whole thing is set up to be terrible for fantasy football. So I'm kind of steering away from most of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you on those guys. And then Mac Jones, I'm with you, Coop. He's just boring to draft this year, I feel like, because what you're describing as a game manager is what I expect for his role. It's not like they've made moves like you talked about that inspire confidence, that they're trying to give him those weapons to take that step forward. Not like we see with like other guys that we're looking at taking a step forward, like Tua, they added Tyreek Hill to that offense, right? Trevor Lawrence, they went and signed Christian Kirk, got Evan Ingram for him. Like it looks like they're making moves to try to make their quarterbacks better or elevate them to another level. Mac Jones, I think they're happy with what they got last year, and they might just keep on rolling with that same style of play. So I'm with you guys. I think we got time for one more of these. You guys got that one really quick. If you want to hit one more, and then we're going to jump in to another segment after this, but you guys want to do one more of these? Jail, this is your last chance to come back.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I can totally come back.
Okay. Coop, you ready? Jail's going to guess first, baby. On this one. This wide receiver has a catch rate of 58.8%.
58.8.
58.8.
That's so like middle of the pack.
Yeah.
That one definitely doesn't give you much, but if you got to guess, let's hear it. And this is from last season, the 58.8, not just in general, but last season.
2021. Man, every person I go through, I'm like, I feel like I can make an argument for.
Right. Because it's not incredibly good, but it's also not terribly bad.
No. I'm going to go with every name I come up with, I'm like, I don't think so.
Probably a lot of guys that have 58.
Let's go with Tyler Boyd.
Great guess, and you are incorrect. That is minus 10 points. Coop, where are you going here?
I feel like Tyler Boyd would be higher. I'm trying not to lose points here, so I'm going to appeal to the host and pick a player the host likes. Just to see if I can avoid some lost points.
Well, Keith came up with these, so
but the host is the one giving out the fake points that don't mean anything. So I'm gonna go with Darnell Mooney here. You're such a good player.
That was the person I almost just guessed.
That is incorrect, Coop. And for trying to pander, that's minus 30 points on your score for that one.
Yes, I'm in no likey that.
You ready for the next clue? Coop's out. He's like, I'm gonna finger trap the heck out of you next time I
should have finger trapped Joey when I had
catch me if you can.
Tyler Boyd's catch rate was 71.3%.
You only lost 10 points, loser.
I know that was very wrong, but he didn't try to pander at least.
Extremely wrong.
You got to pander
like
earnestly.
Tyler Boyd.
You
did it earnestly.
Yeah, with integrity.
Because you're pandering, you ain't trying. That's what my grampy always said.
And Simon's mom at Scrabble.
And my mom at Scrabble. God, she cheats so hard at Scrabble, just every single time. I've said this so many times, but it's just like, this is what she does. One time we were in a game and she used a blank tile that reached to triple word score. But then I start looking at the board and I'm like, pretty sure all the blank tiles have been played already, Mom. Like there's no blank tiles left. I'm looking at the board and I flip that tile over and it's a Z. She just took a tile and flipped it upside down to make it a blank tile to reach triple word score to win the game.
G.
That's like hardcore cheating. I was thinking that the cheating she'd be doing would be just like, I don't know, like looking up words on her phone. That's like cheating. I respect the hell out of that. I love that.
It was her shot to win and she took it and I caught her.
I like Scott Fish's strategy. He has never lost. Either he wins or the game gets messed up before it ends.
You just accidentally bump that Scrabble board.
Yep.
You ever have the Scrabble board that spins where those are the easiest to mess up. You just get a little too excited, spin it, and then all of a sudden the letters go flying. Those ridges aren't high enough on a Scrabble board.
If I don't win this, I'm spinning the board.
Okay. Mr. Scampers had a guess in the chat of DJ Moore, which is incorrect. I'm sorry, Mr. Scampers. Great guess, though.
Eat it, Scampers.
Your next clue is he has 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons in his career.
2 of them.
2 of them.
Ooh.
2 1,000-yard receiving seasons. There's only so many players that I know that I have exactly 2 of those. I know that this was the second 1,000-yard receiving season for Mike Williams.
Is that your guess?
I don't know. Is it?
You tell me.
Now I'm like reading your face. Yeah, I guess I'll guess that.
Well, Coop, you would be correct. This is Mike Williams is the correct
at this
answer.
point.
You got that one off of only the second clue. JL, did you have a guess that was going to be wrong that you were about to share with us?
100%.
He was going to guess Mike Williams.
That was going to be wrong, and it's going to be. I don't want to say it. It's going to be Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
And I don't think he's a wide receiver though.
No,
did you say he was wide receiver?
I did say wide receiver at the very beginning.
You want to hear how I knew that? Because I had like a take on Twitter that was one of the most juvenile, worst takes like ever that turned out to be right. Before the season last year, I tweeted hypothetically, if a guy has a 1,000-yard season on his record and he has a season with 10 touchdowns on his record, then a season with 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns is within his range of outcomes, right? This is a Mike Williams tweet, which is like the most childish analysis ever. I was like, he had 1,000 yards here. He had 10 touchdowns the next year. What if he puts them both together? And then he kind of did, though. So I was like, that's just like, that's the level of analysis you're going to get here. Surface level. I didn't even click at the game log. I'm looking at the overarching.
He just did it off the top of his dome.
I made it to the career stats page, And that's where I pulled that tweet from. But hey, it won me that, and it also pretty locked me in pretty solid into second place behind Joey here.
Yeah, that's how you got this gig.
Yeah, and we had two people in the chat guess it right. Fantasy Ghost and Dustin got that
Fantasy
one correct.
Ghost, Dustin.
Guessing Mike Williams.
Did you guys know I was like this close to wearing my Mike Williams jersey on the show today? I don't expect you to believe me, but it's true.
I definitely don't believe you.
I mean, you wear it about once a week. I fully believe you, JL. I've got full trust in you. For some reason, whenever Coop told us that Randall Cobb and Adam Thielen had the same birthday, I immediately didn't believe him. But whenever you told me you almost wore the Mike Williams jersey, there was just trust immediately that was true. That you held it up this morning and you thought, maybe Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday.
I think
maybe
that's
Wednesday.
Fair. I think that's
Wasn't feeling like Mike today.
Was not feeling like Mike. Guys, the rest of the clues for Mike Williams that I was going to give you is his hand length is 9.38 inches. Would that have helped you out? You up on your hand lengths?
I actually probably would have not gotten it had you given that clue.
I know exactly.
It would have thrown me for a loop. I would have been like.
And then the last clue I think would have given it away. In March, he signed a $60 million deal with his team. That one probably would have given it away for you. And if you still didn't get it after that, I would have thrown some ACC Clemson nonsense at you after that and definitely ensured the jail got it at that point. So, Coop, you were on a timer with that one. If you didn't get it, it was going to go to jail at a certain point once we started talking.
Let's be honest. I would have fumbled it. I would have fumbled the bag on that one.
You would have been like, Andre Ellington.
Clemson.
Somebody would have to log in and help us with that one the way Joey did. Right? Name anyone that's won a Heisman Trophy, and me and JL are like
Sam Darnold,
Derrick Henry.
Guys, there was another bust from last season. After this game, Coop, I think it's pretty safe to say you came out on top as the winner of that one. Behind Joey, it was Joey, then Coop, then JL, but you lost there. You came in last place. I know, shocking. It felt good the entire time, didn't it?
Actually,
I thought I had it in the bag, to be honest.
What's crazy is that you weren't even third because everyone in the chat is technically a part of this contest, and
they lost their points.
Anyone that got zero finished ahead of you. So you're pretty.
I should have lost more points too.
Yeah, if you guys are happy, anyone that's happy that JL got absolutely smoked in this tournament, please smash that fun button because that's fun.
Just backhand the fun button. Just hit it, punch it, backhand it,
fun it up.
Pretend like it's JL. Yeah, that is JL's face right there.
Roughing me up a little bit.
And the fun button's broken again.
Yeah. 3 million hits on the fun button.
I'm going to stop right there. I almost said something else, but we're going to save that for Friday. You know what I mean? We got to warm up to what that was going to be right there. Guys, I had a question for you guys that I wanted to touch on a little bit. It's very important, and it is the next question in our hypothetically game. This is a really good one. So we're moving on from Fantasy Detective, and I've got a hypothetically for you, JL. You're gonna be answering this one today, and I wanted to come to you first.
Just me?
On this. Oh no, I just mean you didn't answer yesterday. Coop did. He's got the warm up. So now you are playing today. I'm gonna throw this question to you guys. My question for you is: would you rather have to walk around as a mascot for the rest of your life, like full mascot costume, or never win another fantasy league for the rest of your life? So you either got to be a mascot or never win your fantasy leagues again.
Okay, can I have some clarification questions here?
When you're home, you can take the mascot costume off if you're home alone. But if people who don't live in your household are going to be home, mascot costume must be on. We'll make an exception for people in the household. Know what I mean? So like if you live with somebody, you cannot be in the costume around them.
Oh, okay.
And they know your secrets. But whenever you leave the house or you have company over or you're answering the door for the mailman, or your Uber Eats driver's there and you have to go out and sign the receipt or something, you have to have that mascot costume on.
So if the people who live in your house know about the mascot costume, can they try it on? Can they wear it?
Well, I mean, it's very specifically fitted towards you. They could try, but it would look ridiculous.
I'm just saying, like, can I have them go out and like, do run my errands and stuff, pretend to be me, and no one will know the difference?
I mean, they could just run the errands, not in the mascot outfit.
We would know.
They don't have to wear the mascot outfit outside of the house. Just
that won't work. That won't work for me. No, that won't work for me. So okay. So I have to choose between wearing a mascot costume or always. Do I know that I'm gonna always lose the fantasy game championships?
Yes. Because I'm asking you to choose. For you, Jay. So you know.
Why? I can't imagine that I would continue to play this game if I knew every single year it was determined that I would make it to the championship and lose? That just seems like an exercise in futility. So I'm going to choose the mascot costume, but I don't even need the fantasy. I don't even need to consider the fantasy option to know that I'm going to choose the mascot costume.
Oh, you're viewing it as a benefit.
Oh, it is. It is a huge, this is a plus. This is a massive plus for me.
I'm taking the other side of the coin here. I think it's a massive plus to not have to play fantasy football. I've already been thinking about ways that I can like pretend like I play fantasy football and then just like kind of coast through the season talking
make
about
money
it with
instead.
you guys. Yeah, just like chat. Like people will be like, "How's your Scott Fishbowl team?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah,
it's fun.
It's right down the middle." You know what I mean? I got
Better than last year.
a couple guys that I like. You know what I mean? I got sniped. Yeah, I got sniped a bunch. You know, like just not play and just like. I just enjoy my not have to wake up and fight waivers on Wednesday mornings and all that, dude. Yeah, I'm really selling fantasy football on our fantasy football show right now.
Here's what I would do is I would have the mascot costume. I would get Maria to wear the mascot costume and manage my fantasy team for me. Therefore, I no longer have this constraint on me because she's playing for me. She's wearing the costume. She is effectively
the costume doesn't transfer your persona. That is just her wearing a costume.
But how can the phone tell? How can my league mates tell? They have no idea. As far as they're concerned, I look the same. I talk the same.
You are not playing by the rules on this one, JL. You are trying to find
the
that
only rule is
hole.
Overthink the hell out of it, and I did it, Simon.
Speaking of overthink it, dude. So Daily Digital asks, how does one get through airport security in a mascot costume? I feel like
easy.
It'd be a bit of a
just
tussle.
take your shoes off. You're good.
And then Keith wants to know, JL, what cost? So now that you've chosen your fate,
yes.
I of course am just going to not play fantasy football, which is going to be awesome. You are picking the mascot. So now, what costume would you choose? Which
it would be a life-size whale mascot, humpback.
What kind of whale? Oh, humpback, of course.
Yeah.
Awful, bro.
What other kind of whales are there?
Not only so you pick a costume that doesn't have legs, bro. That's like one of the
no legs. Fins only, bro.
You're just gonna be waddling around the rest of your life.
You've seen SpongeBob, right? Pearl from SpongeBob is a whale who walks on two legs, walks up and around. I'm imagining like that.
She's a very respectable career.
She has a very suspectable. It is
career. Sir Plant.
Sir Plant suspectable.
Guys, let's move on to our next hypothetical question. I got another one for you. Would you rather every food you eat from now on has a chicken wing bone in it, or your internal monologue playing at all times is John Madden? Doesn't stop.
Wait, okay, you got to recap these.
You know what? I'm changing it on the fly. Here's what we're doing.
Okay.
Every food you eat from now on has a chicken wing bone in it, or every food you eat from now on speaks out loud with John Madden's voice while you're eating it. Like narrates, like it's tortured John Madden as you're eating this speaking.
See,
so there's a
I don't think you guys understand this game.
I'm going first on this one.
One option's good and one option is not good.
That would be terrifying to have.
Which option is good, brother?
The Madden talking to you. You get a friend, a built-in friend with your food. Dude, never eat alone again.
I'm not trying to talk to my food, dude. I don't want to be going to eat a grape and having my grape be like, now
just
here's
screaming into each other's mouths.
Now here's a fruit that you can really depend on. You know, every time, you know, it's like I can't possibly have the John Madden food, especially. I mean, dude, just imagine.
I just want to eat my pear.
Exactly, dude. And it's like you get on. Imagine being on a plane and it's like a 5 a.m. flight, and you're like trying to eat breakfast, and John Madden is just like, John Madden is like
menace to everybody around you.
Yeah, especially like now. Is this John Madden just kind of like spitting out like John Madden euphemisms, or is he reacting to the fact that he's being eaten?
I'm imagining
is he upset?
He is not happy that you're eating him. Okay. Like it doesn't actually cause John Madden physical pain, but as you're eating this, he is not happy. It's John Madden's voice being eaten by you.
So can you give us some insight, Simon, on what it looks like? Is it John Madden? Like, is it a morph of John Madden's face into the food and like a mouth that talks, or is it just the sound?
Have you ever seen Annoying Orange?
Yeah.
You know Annoying Orange, where it's just a fruit and then it's got like human eyes and human lips put on it. That's what I'm imagining. All of your food now has John Madden's eyes and lips, and it basically screams at you while you're eating. or a chicken wing bone in
horrifying.
everything you eat.
See, unbroken eye contact during meals is also very, very. It's a positive. So I'm gonna go with that.
I mean, dude, I'm just saying, like, which food would be drastically worse if it had a chicken bone in it? I mean, like, you could be fine. You know what I mean? It's not a big
As a
deal.
vegetarian, I would not eat anything ever again.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I mean, but it's like, what? You get a bowl of pudding and you pull the bone out and you're good. You know what I mean?
I get a piece of lettuce and there's somehow a chicken bone in it
with your oatmeal, right?
Yeah, like Greek yogurt
you
flavored
draft,
with chicken
you draft
bone. Is
Adam
it an eating
Thielen.
chicken bone, or is it is it somebody
Honestly,
ate all the meat off the chicken
that
bone?
could be a benefit. Know what I mean? Depending on the type of chicken bone, everything now has a handle. Like if we're talking like drumstick, know what I mean? Like you've got, instead of just like a chicken bone being hidden inside somewhere, like you bake a cake, there's one chicken bone in it. No, that cake comes on a drumstick. Like you're ready to go,
dude. Yeah, like
Very sticky handle.
cornbread popsicle, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Give me.
It sounds like Coop's taking the popsicle stick and the chicken bone right there. Jail, are you taking Madden here? Or are you taking is Madden screaming at you while you're eating? Or are you taking
clear?
It's not every day that you find a best friend. I'm taking John Madden.
John Madden. That's a big assumption that the man that you're about to eat will be your best friend.
Yeah, it sounds like it wouldn't be a great.
It's reciprocated.
And dude, imagine the whole, like, you go to the movies and you have a bag of M&Ms, and every single one of those M&Ms is just spitting
John
mediocre
Madden's
taste.
taste.
Yeah, like it just nightmare, bro. Nightmare.
You could never go to
fantastic.
you can never have snacks at the movie theater ever again. Like, because you would just be the biggest nuisance in there every time you picked up an M&M or a piece of popcorn.
John's like, thanks for taking me to that movie, man. I needed that.
It would ruin TV watching while eating food at home. You couldn't even sit on the couch and enjoy a box of Cheez-Its while watching Desperate Housewives or whatever you're watching.
Yeah,
I go to the movies.
Popsicles with chicken bones.
I go to the movies. I'm sitting behind a dude in a whale costume, eating a bunch of friggin' jujubes that are screaming about fourth and long, dude. Get out of here, bro. No chance. No chance.
It's not me inside that suit, Coop.
I did forget one very important thing on how they look. They all have a headset on as well. Like every single thing you eat, every M&M has a small headset on it as well. It just has to, and it amplifies the sound that's coming out of them.
Getting worse as it goes.
I just imagine he like draws and like superimposes just on everyday life, like the movie. He's just circling random stuff.
Do we have time for another one?
Yeah, we can do. We got time for one more. Here is your last one that I'm going to throw your way, guys. Would you rather snore the NFL theme song? This is constantly, all night long. You're always snoring the NFL theme song, or wear belly paint for the rest of your life. You always have to have belly paint on, like people that go to games and paint their belly. You can wear a shirt over it if you want, but probably going to ruin your shirt. So snore the NFL theme song or wear belly paint for the rest of your life.
Let me ask a question, please.
Yep.
So do we get to pick what the paint is? Like, am I just like the E in the word defense or something? Or like, what paint are we talking about?
You just say what it says. And also, can you choose the type of paint, like glitter or acrylic?
Like lead, the same lead
or
paint
lead,
that's on my Grimace
lead
cup.
paint.
Yeah, that's also pretty important.
So the paint is going to be, if you just go to Michael's and go to the paint aisle, not body paint aisle, you just go to the paint aisle and grab like some acrylic paint because you were really running out of time. You were running low. So you go grab that. And then on your belly, I don't care what's on there, but the whole belly has to be painted. It's not like just an E. Like there needs to be a green background with a white E painted on there or something along those lines, not just one letter on there. So whole belly
Follow-up question.
Yes, about the snoring or about the paint?
How do you know where your belly begins and you end?
You feel for your rib cage, and right where the top of that rib cage is, where it starts. If you're watching me, it's right around here.
That's your xiphoid process, I believe.
Your xiphoid processor, like your flux capacitor and your tibula.
I have one of those in my refrigerator, I think.
Your tibula and your femur meet right here in your rib cage, and from there down is your belly.
Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. So that's what we're counting as the belly. It's rib cage down.
And what about the downside? Where does it end? The underside.
I think we're just above the ween, probably.
Yeah, right there.
Naturally.
North.
Naturally.
Keith, are we allowed to say ween on here?
Yeah. Can you give us a yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs
Probably
down?
should have checked that one in before we dropped a little ween drop on.
If not, just blank it out later.
Before you said it 3 times.
Keith's gonna allow it. Yeah. He says we get 5 weens per show. I just use 4 of them.
In case you didn't hear that, Keith, he said ween.
Okay.
Ween. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so
so
that's
Jail,
fine.
that's where the pain ends. It goes from top of the rib cage crevice to ween is where the pain is.
Okay, from
What's
ween.
a ween?
All right, so for me, I gotta go with. I mean, Matty Ice in the chat makes a great point. He says, "I'll snore that theme song. Why do I care? I'll be asleep." And I mean, that's
what I was gonna ask.
That's pretty good. So I think I'm gonna go with the snoring the theme song. And once again, I hate to go back to something that just came up in the last one, but Simon, with his ability to sleep on planes, would actually be super entertaining to hang out with for those planes. I just got to make sure that people know. When we were booking seats for the same plane, I got to make sure I'm not like booking next to you so people know we're together. But so that I can be like, what the hell is that? Whenever the plane goes off.
What would snoring the NFL theme song even sound like? What would that?
Did you guys get that? Did I nail it? I think I nailed it.
Absolutely nailed it.
That's radio, baby.
Jill, which one are you picking?
Man, I'm just going to be a menace in this movie theater because I'm going to fall asleep halfway through this movie in my whale costume and my screaming John Madden jujubes. And I'm going to be snoring that NFL theme song so loud because I don't care. I'm asleep. I'm resting. I'm in dreamland. Doesn't bother me.
I think that's the first hypothetical we've agreed on. So
it is
pretty much
first agreement.
Monumental moment.
Yeah.
Guys, coming up after this, we are going to be talking some bust picks, and we've got Anita Marks joining us on the show very shortly. So we'll be back in a minute, and make sure you stay around.
Team, while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time, only on Better Sports Network.
Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers agreed to a restructured one-year contract that will keep him in San Francisco this season. The contract contains no trade and no tag clauses, assuring Garoppolo will remain in San Francisco this season with the freedom to leave next year. Well, apparently Lynch did not want him to go to Seattle. He didn't want to.
Because they played in week 2, but I figured they'd cut him because they got to do something. But they restructured the contract.
So
affordable, but now he's in the shadows.
Like that is exact. We talk Tom Brady conspiracy theories. Let's get wild here. Are they sold on Trey Lance? This is the weirdest situation. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's in the building. He's working out by himself. He's in like solitary confinement in their facility. And now all of a sudden, hey, welcome back, Jimmy. You're our backup quarterback until Trey Lance throws 3 picks in a game.
No, it's so crazy, right? Because you cannot tell me that they do not realize they made a mistake. And I know everybody in the chat is like, oh, here we go again. But they made a mistake. When they had the 3rd pick in the draft last year, they should have took Mac Jones. Mac Jones was clearly the guy. He'd have been phenomenal in this Shanahan offense. They took Trey Lance, and now you're like, we can't play this guy. Put it like this, Joe. Last year, one of the 49ers' issues was short yardage. They couldn't even get Lance on the field for a short yardage package. I don't think they really are that comfortable with him. And I know it's guys in that locker room that prefer Jimmy G over Trey Lance.
I'm sure there is. And, I think Lance, though, might be one of those guys that you need to see him in game action.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, okay. I see it now. And by the way, the right move for the 49ers is to give Trey Lance the gig and see what he does with it. But let's talk from a fantasy perspective. Now, I'm not sure this moves I have Lance in my top 10, by the way. I'm not sure this moves my rankings a whole lot because in a typical 1 quarterback league, and this is critical, 1 quarterback, I think you can take the hit on Lance, and if he stinks or gets bad, you can replace him. You can go get Ryan Tannehill off the waiver wire. You're going to go be able to get competent quarterback play. As a matter of fact, I did a salary cap auction draft last night, and I took both Lance and Fields because I'm like, I got 2 flips of the coin here, right? But there's a 75% chance that comes up heads at least once. That's the way I looked at it. But I got to tell you, man, this does make it less likely that Lance hits this year. I don't know, man, but here's the funny part. Garoppolo would probably make me feel better about Debo and Ayuk and Kittle just because I know he's going to distribute the ball.
If it gets out of whack, you can put Jimmy G in, and no matter what you say about him, son wins football games. You know what I mean?
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
We are back, everybody, with the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And guys, we are going to be talking some bust NFL picks right now. There's a specific cutting that was especially shocking based on what we heard. And then coming up, we've got Anita Marks joining us as well on the show today. But guys, Alex Leatherwood, first round pick, selected 17th overall by the Las Vegas Raiders, has been cut. First round draft pick cut from the team. It is one, like, I remember whenever that pick was made, I was on stream with a Raiders fan during the NFL draft, and it was one of the best like live meltdowns of a fan I've ever seen live. Just like, what are they doing? What on earth is wrong with them? And he was right. It panned out. Alex Leatherwood's out of there.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure it's shocking to everybody that John Gruden is not a very good coach.
No, absolutely. I don't think that's too shocking to people.
Not just his fault, though.
Not just his fault, but it does remind me of a couple bad draft picks from my team that like stand out. Like I go to make fun of this pick by the Raiders, but then I can't make fun of it too much because we've got guys like, I remember one specific draft for the Browns in 2014. I believe it was 2014. They drafted Johnny Manziel and Justin Gilbert in the first round, and neither one of those picks ended up working out. They were pretty bad for them. So I'm going to give the Raiders some slack on this, but man, that one hurts. That is a bad cut right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Patriots fan, man. I mean, it's hard to complain because we won a bunch of championships and we're awesome, and there's like parades in the city every year. But
is Sonny Michel still with you guys?
So our first round picks are getting cut by other teams right now. Like Sonny Michel just got cut by the Dolphins. N'Keal Harry, man, good Lord, dude. We're trading him to the Bears, and he's not even like cracking the rotation of a team that has Byron Pringle. You know what I mean? Like
15 years younger than Bayless Woods.
In our defense, though, everybody liked N'Keal Harry, man. Like he was kind of like the bust-proof guy. Like, but we've seen plenty of bust-proof guys like Corey Davis and Sammy Watkins not be amazing either. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's just the way it goes. But yeah, my Patriots, we've definitely had our share of bust, and then Belichick cobbles. It's like he can't draft a wide receiver in the first round to save his life, but every single year he has a undrafted cornerback that leaves and gets like $70 million contract. Like
it's the monkey's paw. It's like the monkey's paw curse. Like you hit on late round draft picks, but you miss on the early guys. Guys, our guest is here right now. We're gonna go ahead and bring her up. Anita Marks is here to talk with us. For those of you that do not know Anita, she's a sports betting and fantasy football analyst for ESPN, as well as a host on 98.7 FM ESPN New York. Anita, do we got you there? Are you here with us?
Anita.
Can you hear us?
I am here, gentlemen. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's go. Good to have you on this morning, Anita.
This is great. So you guys talking about the Patriots or Gruden? What were you guys just talking about?
We were talking about
Alex Leatherwood being cut and a first round draft pick being cut off the board. And then we were just reminiscing a little bit on some of our team's worst draft picks from our memory.
Who's your favorite team, Anita?
Who's ever winning me money?
Boom.
Right there.
I get asked that all the time. So grew up late 70s. So at that point in time, you were either a Pittsburgh Steeler or Dallas Cowboy fan. I was a Steelers fan. Could only go to bed in a Terry Bradshaw jersey. Everybody wanted to be mean. Everybody wanted to be Mean Joe Green, right? With the Pepsi, the Coke bottle. And then the Dolphins. I grew up in Miami. Dolphins drafted Dan Marino. So, obviously a Dolphin fan. Then got hired in Baltimore, Maryland. Went to Baltimore.
Hey.
And yeah, hey, hon. And hosted a bunch of player shows. So Monday night I had the Ray Lewis show. Tuesday night I had the Suggs show. Wednesday night I had the Jonathan Ogden show. Thursday night was like a variety, and so I really got to know the players and the organization. I was there when they drafted Joe Flacco and Ray Rice, and Harbaugh took over. So my heart bleeds a little purple. And then I came here to New York and I worked for the Giants organization for 7 years. So a little bit of everything everywhere. But yeah, I mean, at this day and age, I play in 12 fantasy football leagues. I gamble on every freaking game. So for me, it's all about winning championships and winning money.
I'm glad after the string of, we've had a few guests, but they're like comedians and stuff. I'm glad that we have a real life blue blood fantasy football betting diehard on the show. Cause this is technically supposed to be a football show, even though we were talking about just a moment ago.
So my first draft is tonight.
Really?
Do you know
Yeah,
what pick
Jamie Eisenberg from CBSSports.com. He hosts a ladies' league. So Brandy Chastain's in it. Joy Taylor from Fox. So there's 12 of us.
Stefania Bell, is she in that? I feel like
she is not. She is not in that one. I'm in a few leagues with Stefania Bell. How about this? This is a fun one. I just signed on to this one. 20 teams, 16 rounds.
Okay.
The lowest score each week gets eliminated, like Survivor. Like you're off the island, and all your players are thrown into the waiver wire.
Yeah, the guillotine, right? Yeah, that's
yeah.
Oh man,
this is my first time playing in that. And I had the number 1 overall pick. So it's interesting, so I'm drafting. It's a different philosophy, right? I'm going to draft all my starters in the first few rounds because it's win in advance. It's survival mode. So I'm not like, ooh, let me go three running backs in the first 3 rounds. No,
let me take a shot on Jameson Williams.
Yeah, none of that. I'm it's just a different mentality. It's a different philosophy, and so I'm enjoying that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, Sorry, Simon, go ahead.
Guys, it looks like we are having some audio difficulties with Anita. We're going to get her back on really quickly. So we'll be right back with Anita whenever she's able to come back on and keep on talking some of those players.
Guillotine drafts are crazy, dude, especially hers. 20 teams, 16 rounds. So we're talking, that's over 300 picks. I mean, I'm not a big math guy, but it's got to be, right? Somebody double check the math on that. But 300 picks, you're getting into the nitty gritties. I mean, Andre Ellington might be creeping up in the queue.
Yeah.
I just made my last pick in our guillotine league that we have going on. It is this was only 14 rounds, 18 teams. And let me just tell you the names sitting at the top of this draft board right now. We've got Trey McBride, we've got CJ Uzama, we have Pierre Strong, Jelani Woods. These are the names you're looking at here in the 14th round in an 18-team league. It got gross fast. It got very gross very fast, and it's the early round picks changed, but yeah, Coop, you're 100% right. The players you're looking at this range, you got to look at is there even a chance for upside?
It gets pretty yucky.
What kind of players are you trying to draft if you get to that end point though, Cooper? Are there specific situations you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about a league like this is you're going to be dropping a lot of guys because you're going to be trying to scoop up the guys that fall off other teams, right? So in the very deep spots, I think after Jameson Williams and DeAndre Hopkins, you can't really stash a lot of guys like that. So for me, I'd be going for just crazy upside plays, knowing that I'm going to be dropping a lot of guys early. Or the idea of lottery tickets versus scratch tickets. A lottery ticket is somebody you have to hold and wait and see if they blow up. A scratch ticket is somebody we get answers right away. If you look at the Jaguars offense, there's a lot of scratch tickets. We don't know who's going to lead that team in targets.
Right.
It's Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. I would be grabbing guys like that. And if they do something, great, I got a guy. If they do nothing, then I have the guy that I need to drop to grab all the studs that are being dropped by this team that just got the axe. So that's probably the way I play that.
Anita, when you get to those late rounds, I think we got Anita back here, but when you get to those late rounds in a draft like that, 20 teams, 16 rounds, you're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. Are there specific types of situations you're looking for whenever you're picking these dart throws at the end?
Yeah, I mean, so for example, I love J.K. Dobbins this year, but chances are he's not going to start week 1, right? Mike Davis is going to start. So that's a guy that I'm targeting. And I don't know how savvy these other 19 players are.
Right.
So again, I'm looking for guys that for example, Russell Gage. He's going pretty far down. Godwin's not going to be ready. Mike Evans is dealing with a hamstring issue. I know Gage is allegedly dealing with a hamstring issue as well. But I think Gage is somebody who is going to get a lot of opportunity with Tom Brady in that Bucs offense.
That's a great name to bring up because I think since the Julio Jones signing, since the positive news about Chris Godwin's injury, he's kind of been left for dead in fantasy. People have stopped hyping him up, stopped talking about him. But you're right, Chris Godwin's probably not going to be, even if he's playing, not a full go early in that offense. And we saw Russell Gage put up decent numbers last year in a guillotine league format, especially where it's just survive and advance. Your only goal is to not be the lowest scoring team every week. Russell Gage is the perfect kind of pick right there. That makes a ton of sense.
The beauty of Russell Gage is that we saw that he can play all the roles, right? Like, so last year he started out playing a ton of slot, but when Calvin Ridley, he left the team or whatever happened there, Russell Gage started playing outside. He started playing flanker, even split end at times. Having a guy like that, even if he's the fourth guy on the team, especially in a league like this where you're drafting 300 dudes, like a guy that can be the backup for every single position presents upside down the road. Like Gabe Davis is a great example. If for the Bills, he played in the slot, he played out wide, he played any slot. If any of Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, or Beasley went down, he could absorb that role. And, Emmanuel Sanders did go down and he did absorb that role and score a bunch of touchdowns, right? So having a guy that's a backup to everybody is superior than having some of these teams who just have an understudy for each position. If the split end gets hurt, the backup split end goes in, and vice versa all the way down, like you see with like the Cowboys used to do. Knowing that you have that guy who's like the next man up for everybody is a huge bob.
Absolutely. Guys, Anita, I did want to ask you about something specific here. So I know you were a professional quarterback in the Women's Professional Football League from 2000 to 2005. So quarterbacks probably better than 99% of the population out there. You played the position professionally. And I feel like one of the biggest topics of conversation in fantasy this offseason has been about these second-year guys. So whenever I want to hear your perspective as someone who's played the position pro, which one of these guys did you see stuff from last year? Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, maybe the limited stuff we saw from Trey Lance, Mac Jones, that you think encourages you to take that next big step as an NFL quarterback?
So we're talking fantasy here? Fantasy?
Yeah, let's talk fantasy.
Fantasy-wise, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, those are no-brainers, right? Like, what they're going to bring to the table, rushing the football especially, both offenses have subpar offensive lines. So I think they're going to be under duress quite often this season. Yeah. And so, to me, both those quarterbacks fantasy wise, I want them. I'm here in New York, Zach Wilson, jury's still out for me. I think he's too small to play in the NFL. Now his knee's compromised. Don't forget last season he had the PCL, same knee now. He's got meniscus tear. So I know, the talk and expectation is that Joe Flacco is going to start. I actually think Joe Flacco should start the first 4 games because they're all against AFC North opponents. And actually another thing is I have heard that Joe Flacco outperformed Zach Wilson at practice the entire preseason.
Wow.
So if this is a Jets team that's looking to try to get some wins while Zach Wilson is not 100% healthy, why not have Joe Flacco start the first 4 weeks against AFC North opponents?
Right.
One of my favorite prop bets was Jets under 5.5 wins, but not now. If Joe Flacco is going to start, and let's say they do roll with him, now that prop bet over under futures bet is off the table for me. I think right now in this stage of Zach Wilson's career, Joe Flacco is a better quarterback. You could even hear it when Elijah Moore and these guys talk about even the ball that Joe Flacco throws. It's an easier ball to catch. You hear them say it. So right. They're still out for me in regard to Joe Flacco. I think now professionally, as what the general managers and what the teams did in the draft in regard to how to better their ball club, I think the 49ers screwed it up taking Trey Lance. I really do. They should have taken Mac Jones. Let me tell you something, guys. Mac Jones is the best quarterback that came out of this draft by
goose language.
By far. And the fact that he dropped all the way to the New England Patriots, it's money making money. It's just
the rich get richer.
It's the rich getting richer. It is God sent. I love the draft. I go to Indianapolis each and every year, pre-COVID, of course. And I'm really tight with a ton of scouts within teams and in freelance scouts who teams hire, even though they have their own scouting department, they go out and hire freelance scouts just to kind of see, is their scouting department on tap? So, and I had one professional freelance scout who's been in the business for over 30 years tell me that Mac Jones reminded him most of Joe Montana, of any quarterback that he has scouted since. Wow.
There it is. Hey folks, Mac Jones is Joe Montana. Anita, you can come on the show anytime you want.
Hey, listen, don't kill the messenger.
As a Patriots fan,
Anita.
As a Patriots fan, I want that clipped. And I want everyone in the chat smash the fun button. We want Anita to come back with more pro Patriots talk.
Yeah, like who's gonna clip that, put it on a flash drive, go put it in a safety deposit box.
I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. He's a winner, right?
So just to recap, fantasy wise, Trey Lance and Justin Fields. Professionally, I think the 49ers just whiffed on that draft pick. And listen, not to say that Trey Lance eventually is going to be the end all be all. Athletically, he's head and shoulders above Mac Jones. But here, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is what I don't understand, okay? This is what and please explain this to me. We sit here and we call Tom Brady the GOAT. I don't. Majority of people do, okay? Majority of people call Tom
you just
Brady
lost your favor with Coop.
but follow me here. Follow me here.
Okay. I'm following. I'm
We're on this journey with you.
I'm actually dead.
You guys saw the combine tape. What did he run? A 6'2", 40? Like he had a dad bod, right? Like
it's so hot right now.
You know, we sit here and we talk about, Trey Lance is so much better than Mac Jones. Really? Well, you probably would have said the same thing about Tom Brady. If Tom Brady came out in this draft, Tom Brady can't hold a candle to the athleticism of half the dudes in the NFL. But we call him the greatest of all time. Why? The cerebral aspect, how he can dissect defenses, the time that he puts in watching film, his accuracy. He doesn't throw the longest ball. He doesn't run the fastest 40, but it's all these intangibles that has made him one of the greatest in my book. I'll put him in the top 3. I'll put him in the top 5. But for the world to call him the greatest. So why are we sitting here and saying, well, Trey Lance and Justin Fields and all these more athletic quarterbacks are going to be better than Mac Jones, when we are saying that the greatest quarterback of all time is subpar athletic?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like
I'm following
100%. Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into the position.
Mac Jones checks more Tom Brady boxes than Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, and he checks more Tom Brady boxes. So again, it blows.
I hear you. I was hesitant at the beginning whenever you said Tom Brady. Like I don't have, but we got there eventually. You know, and I'm along for the ride. I feel what you're saying, and I hear you. It's not the end all be all. You can't just look at those numbers, those measurables, and assume that the guy with the best numbers is going to be the best quarterback in the league. Anita, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today here on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Anytime, gentlemen. And by the way, I love your DJ Moore jersey back there. He's one of my common denominators. I want him in all my leagues. I think he's going to crush this season.
I'm with you. Man, I knew I liked you, Anita. Have a great one.
Anita's awesome. She's cool.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
We'll talk to you later, Anita.
What she doesn't know is that's actually a Michael Moore jersey on the behind you.
Yes, it is a Michael Moore jersey.
You got it autographed at the premiere for Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah.
Is that Michael Moore?
Simon waited in line to see it at midnight.
It was actually right after Sicko. I couldn't get one after Bowling for Columbine, but I waited a little bit. Guys, we're going to talk a little bit more about the cuts and some of the news that happened yesterday. So make sure you stay tuned. That is coming right up.
Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media Network. Go ahead, pull this down. Like, hearing Ravel got me all like, oh man, collectibles. Check this out. Look at that.
That's like what? Pro Stars.
That's Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky.
Ooh.
It's an official like a still from the cartoon.
Oh, that's pretty dope. I like that. Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, on eBay. It was like $45. It's authenticated. I got the authentication right here.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
I thought it was one of my, I really like. Started going to Comic-Cons and they had all these cartoon animation cells. They're called.
Yeah, I never been to a Comic-Con before. I like to sleep on Saturday mornings. No, I'm not dissing the Comic-Con crew. I'm not dissing them, Nando. I'm just saying, whatever. You know what I mean?
You could go on a Thursday. Like I go on a Thursday because the animation cell boxes, the boxes aren't picked over. You can get I don't have that many. I have like 5.
They have Comic-Cons in like every city. Like they have them. It's not just at the Javits Center, right? They have them like kind of. They're not gonna have one down here where I'm at, but they have them like all over, right?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Yeah, they're awesome. So anyway, that's not from Comic-Con, but like I learned about it at Comic-Con. I'm like, they have Pro Stars. That's kind of
That's cool.
It's Michael Jordan, kind of dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, I see that.
For some reason, I never saw that episode. I don't remember that one. But
yeah, I don't remember many Pro Stars episodes. I never was a big cartoon guy. Like even when I was 5-6-year-old fantasy executive, my life was always based in reality.
Really?
Yeah.
So what were you doing on Saturday mornings?
Fishing. Fishing.
Yeah,
I was fishing. I was fishing in the Hudson River.
Well, I was going to say off the Tappan Zee Bridge. That sounds about right.
Off the West Side Highway.
Producers remember Pro Stars. You remember Pro Stars in the chat room? Like it was amazing. It was Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. Which I later found out in life it wasn't the real voices. It doesn't take that long to voice a cartoon.
You think Michael Jordan, when he was on top of the world, was going to voice a cartoon?
How long are you? Look, it takes this long as we're doing the show to step in there in front of a microphone and be like,
Michael Jordan,
Wayne, let's go get the bag.
Michael Jordan like to gamble, smoke cigars. You know what I'm saying? I really don't see Michael Jordan pulling up to the animation studio to voice a cartoon.
You assume he would have made a little more money.
He got all the money in the world.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
He's a shoe mogul. Michael Jordan don't need no money.
Maybe not at the time. It might be a good story to find out where those voice actors are now. Like, hey, these are Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan. What do they do?
I know, that would be cool. That would be.
Let's have them on the show.
No.
Oh, I got it. We'll get those 3 voice actors to come on and do this year's Christmas special.
Oh, that's not a bad idea if we can find them.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team where you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Good morning to everyone still hanging out with us over here. We are live on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show with Better Sports Network. And we just got off the air with Anita Marks. That was pretty cool talking to her right there. Guys, there was some news that I wanted to hit on before the end of the show today that we haven't talked about yet. Cowboys wide receiver Michael Gallup passed his physical and has been activated off of the PUP list. This is big news, and this changes the landscape there in Dallas. Coop, let's start with the Michael Gallup impact before we talk about the ancillary pieces. Are you drafting Michael Gallup now with this news?
I was kind of drafting him before. He's like, you look at his stats, dude, he's a pretty rock solid guy. They clearly like him there if they extended him and traded Amari Cooper. And the way I look at it with this offense, and pretty much a lot of offenses, is the emergence of another wide receiver doesn't usually hurt the top wide receiver. They usually help one another. It usually hurts the third target on the team, right? It's pretty easy to have 2 guys that work in tandem and can help draw coverage from each other. So I don't think it hurts CeeDee Lamb much. I still have CeeDee Lamb as a guy I like to take towards the swing or anywhere in the second round, really. The guy that I think it's going to end up hurting at the end of the day is Dalton Schultz. This team has been top 5 in passing attempts the last 2 years. So they could all potentially eat. They were second in pass attempts in 2020, and they were 5th last year. If they can keep that going, then all 3 guys might be all right. But for me, I liked the idea that I could start Dalton Schultz early on in my fantasy leagues and maybe stash an Evan Ingram or somebody for upside on the bench.
Right.
But, now it gets a little sketchy because you want your tight end to be a top 2 target on the team. And I do like Michael Gallup. I don't think it's going to be CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup. Some people might.
You think when Michael Gallup's back, it'll be CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and then Dalton Schultz or one of the other receiving options there?
For sure.
Yeah. JL, what about you? How do you feel about Michael Gallup with him being activated off the PUP? Does it raise him up for you? Are you drafting him now? Were you drafting him before? Oh, and we cannot hear you, John Luke.
Hey, that's 2.
What I was pondering on was that it certainly rises him up, right? he's coming off the pup. That's positive development here. So yes, it does move him up. I'm still not confident that he is going to have a like explosive start to his season. Gallup, I think he's already said that he's not going to be ready for week 1. But yeah, the opportunity is there, right? There are going to be targets available in that Dallas offense. We've seen Gallup flash, but it's been like a true flash. Should we just seen like, little bits spread across his career in between injuries. So I'm not super confident in Michael Gallup, but I'm fine taking him as like a late round kind of guy.
Yeah. The biggest change this has for me in the way I'm drafting, it's not really changing Michael Gallup, but it is changing Jalen Tolbert. I'm just not drafting him anymore. I feel like the hope for him, we've got good camp reports. We heard he was doing well, but a lot of my hope for him was that wide receiver 2 role was kind of open with the uncertainty around when Michael Gallup was going to come back. Now it seems like it's going to be sooner rather than later. So I'm not taking that shot anymore. Coop, what about you? Are you taking that shot anymore?
I would rather go for somebody that was supposedly winning a top 2 role while everyone's there, right? Like smoke you hear about George Pickens. He's doing that while Chase Claypool's there, while Deontay Johnson's there. That to me says, okay, we're got an equal playing field and this guy's earning it. When it's a guy like Jalen Tolbert, like you said, where the reports are good, but he's kind of backdooring his way into the role. And we don't know for sure if he's better than Michael Gallup because they're not competing head to head. We know that from camp reports that he's not ahead of CeeDee Lamb. That takes it. You're right. It takes a bit of the shine off the situation. So not as appealing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, one more piece of news I wanted to hit on. The Bills released running back Duke Johnson. Not that people were super hyped for Duke Johnson this year, but does this change the way you're viewing, say, James Cook or Devin Singletary? Do you think this is a vote of confidence for James Cook, the rookie they drafted?
Coop, would you, in PPR, Superflex, tight end premium, who would you rather have? James Cook or Duke Johnson?
That's tough, man. I really thought you were going to put Kirk Cousins in the mix there too. I think at this point, I like the uncertainty that comes with Duke Johnson being cut by like the 15th.
Be anything.
But I think I'm going to have to go with James Cook on this one, the brother of Dalvin Cook. That team wanted a pass catching back. They went out, had a verbal agreement with J.D. McKissick. McKissick went back to the Commanders, disappointed all of Bills Nation. And then they went out and got Duke Johnson and drafted James Cook in the second round. The second round is clutch. And now that they say, hey, you know what? We've seen what our second round pick can do. We don't need this other guy. Huge boost of confidence. I still think Devin Singletary is going to be the starter, but I think James Cook can carve himself out a role. The question of the day is whether Josh Allen decides to stop being such a battering ram all the time and share some of the rushing touchdowns and actually pass the ball instead of saying, hey, go block.
Quit hogging it, Josh.
Yeah. Josh, you jerk.
Josh, you big mean.
You quit hurdling people, you big goon.
Yeah. So James Cook right now is being drafted as the 36th running back off the board. He's being drafted around pick 100, which is right there in the middle of the 9th round. Is that an appropriate draft cost for you? Are you taking James Cook at that range?
I mean, for me, I feel like he was getting drafted too early, and now he's worth where he was being drafted. So if it stays at least in the range of where it is now, I like it. If he starts being the next Damian Pierce and getting drafted ahead of starting running backs in this league, then it gets a little bit dicey. I like taking him as my RB4, where it's like, I got him. I don't need to start him. If the upside is there and it hits, great, but I don't need to put him in my lineup week 1. If you're drafting him to start in your lineup week 1, there could be some growing pains there, to say the least.
JL, Devin Singletary in the middle of the, let me do this math, in the middle of the 8th round, or James Cook in the middle of the 9th round. Which one of those guys are you taking? It's a round difference between them right now where they're being drafted. Do you want Devin Singletary in the 8th or James Cook in the 9th?
I'll take Devin Singletary. The 1 round cost isn't enough for me to make that switch yet. But James Cook, he has the upside, right? We've seen Devin Singletary play football. And it's been okay
in the NFL, yeah.
Oatmeal.
Yeah, in the NFL.
He's oatmeal category, right? Oatmeal for breakfast.
Oatmeal. He's got like a little bit of cinnamon, but like it's pretty faint. Like you just taste it on a few bites. So yeah, but he's good. He's good. And so I'm still going to take him. I still think he's the primary guy, just like Coop. I agree with him.
I think what it is it's not cinnamon. There's the crust is flavored. You know what I mean? It's just along the edges. Like this bread's fine. And then you get to the crust and there's like cinnamon built into the crust. It's just at the end, because last season, that's what we saw. It was like all year it was just like eating your bread, eating your bread, eating your bread. And then you got to the special treat at the end of the season and it paid off.
I start to wonder if maybe they sat there at the end of the year knowing that they pretty much had the AFC East locked up, and they started saying, hey, why are we slamming our star quarterback into the line from 5 yards out? Let's just try and run it in, because they ran, and they actually carried into the playoffs too a little bit, where he had 6 touchdowns over the last 4 games, and then he scored in a couple of playoff games. I wonder if they're sitting there and saying, you know what, a bit of a business decision here. Why don't we see if we can get it done with this guy first? Worst case scenario, we use this freakazoid and do some RPO stuff and see if we score that way. But, yeah, Josh Allen is a freakazoid.
He is. Guys, before we sign off for today, a couple things I want to remind everyone of. If you enjoyed what we're doing over here today, come and hang out with us at 3 p.m. Eastern time for the Fantasy Football Game Show on the Front Yard Fantasy YouTube channel. Jalen and I are going to be there doing some mock drafts all week. It is mock draft week, so if you want to prep for your drafts a little bit, go on over there, subscribe to our channel, and we'll be live at 3 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. And coming up right after this, so do not leave this channel, we got Moose and Keith coming up live at 10 a.m. until noon. Then from noon to 3, Lunch Money presented by FantasyGuru.com is going to be coming on. And then your friends Corey, Nando, and friends are coming up, presented by Mayo Media Network from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Man, and their music was getting me hyped. Guys, that is going to be it. We will be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. See everyone bright and early on Wednesday.
Enjoy the rest of your